Welcome, everybody. I'm Monique MacArthur with Melanin Monarchy, doing all things media. Today, I have a special guest for you, Freddie Morales with Devotional. We're going to be talking about the band. We're going to be talking about his upcoming dates. We're going to be talking about all things Depeche Mode. Get ready, sit back. We're going to have a great time.
Devotional, the Depeche Mode experience.
Freddie, we're here.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I am just so touched that you would come out.
I'm very,
And
yeah,
talk to me.
it's nice to be here and thanks a lot for the invitation. And it's, of course, it's like a Depeche Mode weather. It's raining here in Los Angeles.
It is raining in Los Angeles today. A lot of people think that we're like sliding off mountains. I'm
Right?
getting a lot of calls from family. You don't have any family anywhere else but
No,
around
luckily,
here.
luckily they're all here in Southern California. I have
Yeah.
a brother who lives in Temecula, a sister in Moreno Valley, and then I live here in Lincoln Heights.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to live in Hollywood, but I got away from that.
Oh,
Yeah.
was it just too rough?
Yeah, it got too rough out there for me, and I was like, I'm out.
All right, so are you a diehard, like, I'm not leaving the LA area, or would you go somewhere else?
No, I love LA. LA has been very good to me.
Okay.
I mean, I grew up in Southgate.
Oh.
Brought my Southgate crew out there.
Okay.
Yeah, and Southgate, and then I ended up going for my high school years. I went to Chatsworth. I went to the Valley. I was a Valley boy.
Okay.
It was being, it was weird because during that time when I was going, they had this section where if you lived in a certain area in Southgate, and there were so many kids in school during that time,
Yeah.
you had a choice to either go to Jordan High, which was an Alameda, very rough school,
Oh.
or you had a choice to go to the Valley. And I was like, I think I'm gonna go to the
You gotta go to
Go
the Valley.
I don't mind the 2-hour drive from the bus.
Now, were you bused? Did you
Yes.
bus it? Okay, got you.
So I
All
had to get up
right.
early. My dad, God rest his soul, my dad, he would get up around 4 o'clock in the morning to go to his job.
Yeah.
And he would drop me off. So I would be at the school I was supposed to go to, Southgate High School. But so we would get there, and that was like 30 kids being bussed out there in different
wow.
locations. Yeah. So, and the bus would be there. You had to be there by 6:30, and then the bus takes off around 7, and it took actually 6:30, and it took like 2 hours to get there.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. And so while you were like being bussed, and so when did the music stuff kind of kick in? Did it happen before that or during that time?
Actually happened during my first experience with music was in junior high.
Okay.
I had my first talent show. I did a Duran Duran lip sync.
Oh,
And
really?
my teacher, Mr. Cook, who was a great teacher, I guess he saw talent in me. He was like, Freddie, you're very outgoing, and you look like you like entertainment and singing. Why don't we do a talent show? You want to do a talent show? And at that time,
Yeah.
before Depeche Mode, it was for me Duran Duran.
Yeah, me too. I loved Duran Duran, Eurythmics, Duran Duran. Yeah, I was in that.
So that was in '84, and Duran Duran was just huge during the Seven and Ragged Tiger tour, the Reflex.
Oh yeah, it was huge. Yeah.
I was a MTV kid. I grew up with MTV.
Me too.
And that was an idea. I was like, well, why don't we do a Duran Duran lip sync show? And we put it together, and the kids loved it. The principal loved it. And
Do you
then
remember which song you did back
we
then?
did all of them.
Oh,
What happened, ended up doing is Duran Duran was performing at the Madison Square Gardens in New York.
okay.
And during the time, I was just, I don't know how I got these ideas. I had a recorder, and I was listening to the radio station, and they did their live broadcast from
From Madison Square.
Madison Square Garden, so I recorded it.
Oh, okay.
So I used that recording as the lip sync show. And it was crazy because we had this recorder, and then the teacher was like, well, I'm just going to put a mic on it, and
Yeah.
and it sounded good.
And this is all in junior high.
Yes.
Oh.
Junior, I was 14 years old.
Yeah.
Who would have known, and
Would you say that it was all because that teacher encouraged you? It was like, wow, you have
Yes.
something. And then that gave you the freedom to go ahead and explore. Do you think that that's what
Yeah,
happened?
Yeah, that's
See, this is the importance of teachers, good teachers.
I love my
Yeah.
teacher. I had great teachers growing up in school, and he motivated me and inspired me. And once I did that, I did a second show in junior high. I think that was like the beginning of my
Yeah.
like. I love to do this, performing in front of 200 kids at an auditorium, all going crazy.
You felt it then, like that was
Yes.
okay.
And then there was an '85 earthquake in Mexico,
Okay.
and then we did a second show to raise money for that.
Wow.
That was good. That was my first experience of doing something for a disaster like that. And then after I graduated from junior high, we went to high school, and I went to Chatsworth, and it was great because there were a lot of celebrity kids who went to that school,
Oh,
like
really?
Alfonso Ribeiro.
Oh,
Yeah, I remember he was going to that school, attending that school. Kirk Cameron from Growing Times, Growing
growing
Pains,
pains.
Growing
Okay, say
Pains.
no more.
Yeah,
Say no more.
and I had classes with his sister. Sister was in one of our classes too, and he was. They were never. They were celebrity kids. They're like Alfonso would be dropped off in a limousine.
Oh, really?
Yes, you know, and
It's just too much.
too much. I was like, okay. He was. I mean, he was at his prime during that time. So, going to the Valley, I just got exposed to like really good just kids who were just involved in the whole new wave scene.
Right.
You know, it was like the movie Less Than Zero.
Yes.
You know,
That one of my favorites. My
Yes.
brother and I, we really talk a lot about, well, we talk a lot about film because, you know, he's an
Yeah.
actor, but go ahead.
yeah. So it was like living Less Than Zero. You know, the
Does that
house party.
include the,
You know what? I didn't see that. I didn't see drugs until later on, like in the club scene. But
okay.
or maybe they were just very just secretive.
Yeah, you
Just
had
go to the
to.
bathroom. And luckily, I had very strict parents. Who were like, "Hey, my dad was like, you're gonna get into music. I don't want you to be coming here, you know." And
Yeah.
I respect
Some
my
people get
parents.
approached real easy and some people don't. I was never the approach, unlike my brother who was
Yeah.
approached a lot. But I wasn't I wasn't
Yeah,
approached. I was like,
I didn't see drugs until later on in my
Yeah.
life. You know, everybody was out doing it. I didn't catch my attention. As a matter of fact, I just didn't want to even be a part of that.
That's right.
You know? And they were like, "Hey, does drugs influence you? What you do?" I was like, "You know what? I'm drug free. I don't need drugs too. I'm
Yeah.
already crazy as it is. So, you know."
you don't need more hype.
Yeah, yeah, and so Chatsworth was a big platform for me to discover myself as like, you know, being into that mode of what was happening during that time.
Right.
You
So
know?
who are your friends? Who was Freddie in high school? Like what when looking
was-
back on that time,
I was a
did
very,
you like that Freddie?
you know what? I look back, I was a very just ambitious young kid who
Yeah.
just wanted to be doing things. And I was very fortunate that people paid attention to me. It's like, I want to hang out with Freddie. Freddie's got a
Yeah.
band. He's putting something together.
Yeah.
And then during high school, my last year, I got involved with my first electronic band, which was, the name was Truth Movement.
Truth Movement. That sounds very English.
Very, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Truth Movement. I
Yeah,
like
so
that.
we were a three-piece electronic band.
Gotcha.
And that's when I discovered Depeche Mode. So I was like, you know, we were like, wow, these keyboards, you don't need a drummer. It's very electronic. And
Yes.
so I really was very disciplined at a very young age. I just wanted to be a part of a band. To be,
Of a band.
yeah,
Yes.
so instead of, and so my parents were like, I drove them probably crazy. And I was like an introvert at first, you know, being in my room, my bedroom.
Well, do you mind saying focused?
Yes.
Was it an introvert or were you just focused?
You know, I was focused.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was focused,
Because you
but I was
don't seem like the introvert type. So
But
I'm just like,
I was very shy. I didn't know how to approach girls. You know, I didn't know how to approach. You know, like I was very like quiet.
Yeah.
There were certain times where I would be in the band that I learned from them, but then I had inputs and I didn't know how to really, you know, bring that out. Like, why don't we do this? And I still kind of felt like I was learning from these guys.
gotcha.
You know, and then finally when, you know, I kind of got some idea. I just said, you know, guys, why don't we do this? I would like to write. You know, and I wrote these lyrics, and they kind of like pushed me aside, and I was like, "Well, that's
Were
not-"
they older than you? Or
yeah,
why
they
was-
were a little
okay.
older than me. The lead, and then the lead singer at that time, he was just about it was his band, his music. He didn't really want. I was pretty much the musicians just playing the music, but it was good for me because I got to learn how to produce music.
Got you.
I got to we did a lot of high school shows.
Yeah.
And house parties.
Well, that was the big thing back then. Back in the like early 90s, late 80s, early 90s.
Yes.
It was the thing to, then we kind of got up into DJing, but it was the thing to have a band. Now nobody does that.
Now
You know,
it's
I don't
the
even know if
the
they have high school dances.
I don't even know. Yeah, I mean, I grew up going to the school dances. So yeah, we would get booked at a school dance or a house party. A lot
Yes.
of house parties. And back then, we were able to have house parties with
Yes.
my parents are taking off to Acapulco. We can do this. You know, it's like what? And you know when the kids would do the backyard and
Yeah.
you know it was crazy, but it wasn't that crazy. Oh, I don't know. It's just, you know, we were just people were just having a good time. We didn't have any issues where there were gang shootings or,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
Sometimes you would have the,
The
like,
little scuffles.
yeah,
Yes.
it's a little get rowdy. There was beer involved, the keg, let's bring the kegs, man.
Yes.
We're gonna have two
Yes.
kegs,
Yes.
and but I was just learning, paying my dues, and I was with that band for 4 years.
Oh.
We ended up playing at this one club in Pasadena called Maryland's. Did you ever hear about Maryland's? I don't know
No.
if you grew up. It was a club in Pasadena. It was 18 and under,
Okay.
and it was great, awesome club. I mean, they sold like just soda, and water, and I remember the David Peterson. Thanks to him, he was our first manager, and we gave him a demo, and he liked it. And he would always have like local bands. He would support local bands, and especially during that time. I mean, Depeche Mode was on fire, and this whole gothic scene, and the DJs there who played there are now like big huge DJs during that time now. And yeah, I would go there, and it was like $10 to get in.
That was a lot.
That was a lot for, yeah.
That was a lot.
Yeah, I would go and cut lawns or do a chore for someone, go paint someone's house, and I would have $20 and
Yeah. So
you
you
know.
can get in and buy. Just for the record, I am from Detroit, Michigan. So all of
nice.
my Detroit devotees out there, we want to say hello.
Yeah,
And
Detroit.
so there were a lot of clubs that focused on new wave music.
Yeah.
So that's how, and it was, well, my older brother, he's the one that kind of got me, not
Nice.
kind of, he really got me
Wow.
into new wave music. So for all the people that are out in the Midwest, it was the same, even though we were in our little bubble, it was basically the same all over.
A few years ago, during the time when I started this tour, we went to Detroit. We did a show out
Oh,
there.
you did?
And it was a club called Smalls. So
Oh,
Smalls.
Smalls. So
it's still there
if you're
today.
there-
Yeah, Smalls. Thank you for small venue and but it was packed. They just loved it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Detroit. I mean, look at all the DJs that came out of there.
Well, yeah, but I think like as a kid, for me, I felt really alone because, being, a woman of color, whatever, that doesn't mean anything, and being really, really into new wave,
Yeah.
like hardcore into new wave. And then, well, my brother was able to find a bunch of friends, but I wasn't able to kind of like find those friends. But I do have to tell a really quick story, and then I'll let you continue. But when Violator came out, I would keep it in my mother's car because I would the tape, the
Wow.
cassette tape,
Yeah,
right? And I
yeah.
would keep it in. And so my cousin got into the car one day and she saw the tape. She was looking at the tape and she saw the tape and she goes, "Is this gospel?" And I started to laugh.
Wow.
Like,
Wow.
what? And then it never dawned on me, but when you look at the names all on that tape, in her mind, this was a gospel.
Right. You got Halo.
Yes.
Personal Jesus.
Yes. Yes. Just all Enjoy the Silence.
Yeah.
You have all of those songs on that one tape. Well, it was a tape for us back then. So yeah, being a part of these venues and then traveling. So you've been all the way to Michigan.
Yes.
You guys have been all the way there.
Yeah,
So just briefly, just name some of the cities and this is for the audience so that they can look out for these guys when they come to your town.
We've gone all the way to New York. We've been Michigan, all of Texas. We've been to Buffalo, New York. We've been to Kansas. Of course, all of California.
All of California.
Yeah.
Everybody knows you here.
Yeah,
Everybody knows you here.
It's like the capital of Depeche Mode, but it's nice that this project, now I'm going on my 13th year doing Depeche Mode and doing this project. It's just been amazing. I didn't travel like my brother. He's very corporate. He got a job. It's like you never take a vacation, Fred. It's like one day the music is gonna take me to places.
Got you. Oh, that's beautiful.
And I waited, and sure enough, during the 13 years that I've been in, it's taken me around the world. I've been
That's faith.
International. I've been to
That's
yes, been to Mexico, the big cities, Guadalajara, Mexico City, Monterrey, and then the farthest I've gone to Santiago, Chile.
Oh.
Yes, that was probably the longest flight. I was like, when am I gonna get there?
Yeah. How were they receptive?
Oh my God, we're very spoiled out here. Like,
Yeah.
Out there is they're very passionate about the music, like Depeche Mode, Duran Duran, The Cure, Morrissey. They love it.
Yes.
They love it. And what I like about it is like the new generation. There's a movement too with the newer generation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I actually hooked up with an Argentinian young producer, and we wrote a song during the COVID Visions of the Future, which was the song that I wrote back in the early 90s.
Right.
And we were able to, that was my first time producing a song over the internet.
Okay.
So he would send me like an idea, and then I would receive it. And with technology today, you can do that now. And I would listen to the melody, and then I would record it in my home studio, and then send him the vocal stem.
Right.
And we just went like that, and we created a song, and it was amazing. And he's like what now, in his 30s, but
That's
very,
young.
yeah, very influenced. There's a whole movement of like people who are into the 80s
Yeah.
and 90s. So it's just been an amazing project for me. I've learned so much, and I've never traveled like, it's just amazing, to go somewhere and it's packed. You're like, wow, there's people
Yeah.
here. I'm totally thousands of miles away from home.
Yeah.
And it's a full house. And these are venues like 300 to 1,000.
Yeah.
And it's just been amazing. I mean, I just did the Pacific Amphitheater last year. That's like 10,000.
Where is that out in?
It's Costa Mesa.
Okay.
Yeah, it's part of the OC Fair.
I said, why have I not been there to see you
I'm
guys?
inviting you this year.
Okay.
So we got booked. I've been doing that now.
For 2-3 years?
No, longer than that now. I've been doing that now for 10 years since I started. I started doing the tribute in 2010. I started with a band called Strange Love.
Yes. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that was kind of like, I was co-founder of that, and in 2018, we separated. There was some differences there, and
Yeah.
and then I continued Devotional. So this month marks my 5th year doing Devotional.
Okay, so for our audience, again, we're talking to Freddie Morales, and he is the lead of the Devotional tribute band to Depeche Mode. For those out there who are not sure what we're doing today, and we're talking about Depeche Mode, we're talking about being a fan of Depeche Mode, a devotee, what Depeche Mode has done. So we're going to talk about tribute bands. And do you prefer cover or do you prefer tribute band?
There's a difference. I prefer...
Enlighten us.
Tribute is in a cover. It's like a cover. You can cover a song,
Yes.
and change it up.
Yes.
Which I'm gonna do a cover of, let's say, Duran Duran, and you do your own version of it.
Right.
A tribute is sticking to the actual original sounding of the track,
Okay.
of the song,
Gotcha.
and that entails with either just replicating what used to sound like, or and that's what a tribute is. Especially when you play live, you kind of like, it's an experience. You kind of like recreate with that band, because we're talking about bands who are like 30, 35 years now, 40s.
40, 41, 42,
And
yeah.
some of these, original bands, the original song that made them hits, they don't sound, they sound different now. They change it because they get bored of,
Yeah.
So a tribute is just basically being detailed to the core of what that song should sound like.
Okay.
So that's the big difference of what a cover and a tribute is. A tribute is much more in detail of sounding to the exact of what the original, or how the original artist looks, and that's the experience, And I actually evolved with that too, to where now doing it 13 years, I've actually now incorporated just my own personality to it, mixed into like I of course I'm the lead singer of Dave Gone, but there's mannerisms that I like have just watched him and learned what he does on stage. So for the fan who goes see his tribute band, they're like, wow, it's like watching the real thing.
It is. I mean, I have to say that I've seen 3 Depeche Mode tribute/cover bands. Not sure how they would like to present themselves. And I have to say, it's no shade on anybody else, but
Right.
you are the best.
No,
Because it's like a tribute science. Would you say
Yes.
it's a tribute science?
Yeah,
to
well,
it?
it's like an actor doing, like the actor who did this new movie for Elvis.
Okay.
And that was he did an amazing job of portraying Elvis, and studying how Elvis, his mannerisms, the way he talked, and that's an art. And for me, that's kind of what I've learned too, and
Because you
portraying.
have Dave Gahan, I've watched you, and I think that a lot of people would agree, is that when they're watching you on stage, the moment that you come out on stage, you feel a presence like this is going to be, something out of this world. But you said like it's an art. So you're coming
Yes.
with an art form. And I've watched you and your mannerisms, even down to the hand movements that he does when he performs. For anybody who seen Depeche Mode live performing, then when you see Freddie, you can see that. So tell me about the studying of this person.
When I first started, well, it started in 2010, and like I said, I've done my original music and music in the record
'Cause
labels.
you've done DJing
I've
too,
done
right?
DJing.
Yeah.
I mean, if I wanted to get involved with music, I just wanted to do everything,
Okay.
and to keep. So I started as a DJ, first, using real turntable techniques, not just,
Yeah.
like today's consoles but yeah, I had a lot of friends who were DJs, and hip hop DJs, and I learned from them, and I would just go to their house, and I couldn't afford any techniques back in the day, but I would go over their house and just, all right, Freddie, just bring your records,
Yeah.
and I studied from, so I learned that art of being a DJ, and then I just really wanted to get myself involved with how to produce music. So
Okay.
I bought my first keyboard, thanks to my father, and they supported me with that. So, and then I said I've done original music until like 2009. I got tired of the whole scene, and I just wanted to perform. I wanted to do something different, and I've never sung a cover or even. So I was online one day, and I went on YouTube, and I got to see a tribute of Depeche Mode.
Okay.
But they weren't from the U.S. They were from the U.K.
Okay. Which sounds.
Yeah,
You're right. No,
so
that's
there
good.
was a band called Sneakers, who are a friend of ours now, and I've met during this venture. I have my favorite Depeche Mode tribute bands,
Okay.
Forced to Mode. They're from Germany. So I would watch them. I was like, oh my goodness, they really put out like an amazing production on stage. The mannerisms. I was like, was there not like the Depeche Mode band here in LA?
Okay.
So I just decided just to lock myself for 4 months. I had.
So from there is when you decided I can do this too.
Yeah, I was like, well, let me get my feet wet and see if I can do it.
But again, I've seen tons of people that I like, but never would I think, let me just go ahead and try this whole out. So
Yeah,
it was just that quick. It was just looking at them and then it clicked in your head. You know what?
yeah, yeah. I was.
This is an idea. I'm gonna try it out. Did you discuss it with anybody first, or
No,
you were
I
just
didn't.
you were like, I'm gonna go.
I
I'm
didn't.
not gonna
I
wait
think
for approval.
my brother's he's very hardcore. He'll tell you, you know what, you suck. That's not gonna happen. So I got together. At first, I built the tracks, all my favorite ones, World in My Eyes, are the ones so I produced the music.
You
And
do a
then,
great get the balance right.
thank you.
Your
I love
get the
that
balance
song.
right
Yes.
is so amazing. I so look
Yeah.
forward to when you do
Yeah,
that.
of course.
Okay.
That's always on the set list. And so I was like, wow, this sounds really good. And I had some other friend of mine that were like, hey, I want you to listen to this. Wow, that sounds like Depeche Mode. It's like, that's actually my track.
Oh,
Yeah, they were like, wow, Freddie, you're going to be doing a Depeche Mode tribute. I was like, yeah. So then I laid down my tracks, and I'm a baritone singer. So I was like, okay, I can do this.
yes. Wait, can I say this? Have you seen, like, lately I've been looking at a lot of UK bands, and it just seems like that type of baritone voice that Dave has, somehow a lot of the youth have lost it. I don't see a lot
Yeah,
of people who
no.
come out. They're very soft.
Yeah.
Not saying that that's bad. It's just that there's something unique about that type of bass in a voice.
Yeah, pretty much all of my hero singers were baritone. I'm a big Doors fan. Jim Morrison had a baritone
Yeah.
voice. Bands like, well, Simon's totally different. He can go baritone, but he goes high.
He does go high.
And then you have
does.
Erasure, Andy Bell, great singer,
Very. Yeah.
baritone, but also high pitch.
I've never. Is he baritone? Because
Yeah.
he
No,
could go high.
But he's got a beautiful baritone voice too.
Okay.
But the beauty about that guy is like he can use both.
Okay.
So when I laid down the tracks and I kind of presented to my brother and was like, wow, Freddie, this sounds really good. You can do this? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Okay.
And And I called it Sounds a la Mode.
Oh, I like
Yeah,
sounds a la
Sounds a la
mode. I
Mode.
like that.
And I knew some promoters at nightclubs, and there was a nightclub in Downey called it was called the 80s Club, and it's funny because I was like, wow, there's actually clubs who just play 80s,
Okay.
you know, because we're talking about this was in 2009, so it was like either trance, techno, house.
Right. Nobody was doing 80s at that time.
No,
Now it's
nobody.
big, but at that
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
yes.
but it was like so I went to this nightclub and I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I'm getting to hear all these songs that I grew up with, you
Right.
know, and the original tracks. So I gave the demo to a promoter, and he was like, "You know, Freddie, we're gonna book you." So I had my first booking, and he put out Depeche Mode tribute, you know, Sounds of la Mode, and Richard Blade was actually hosting that night too. If you guys, Richard Blade is a big, huge DJ. He's on Sirius XM
Yes.
now. Yeah.
And we have an upcoming interview with Richard
You
Blake. So
do?
everybody stay
Oh.
tuned for that. We just have to coordinate our time
Yeah.
schedule, his time schedule, because he's a very busy man, but he's
Oh, that's
definitely on the
awesome.
list.
And
Yes.
as a fan here in LA,
Mm-hmm.
Richard used to have a show called Request Video or
Oh.
Request One.
So this is what happens when you're not from LA. You can remember
So,
these
yeah,
things.
that's what we're spoiled here in LA. We had everything. So there was a Saturday night show in noontime, and I would watch him.
Mm-hmm.
Big Depeche Mode, and he's on the 101 interviewing Depeche Mode when Depeche Mode released
Right,
the
yes.
Violator, that whole incident that happened at the warehouse out in the Beverly Center.
Was that Violet or was that a one sooner to that? Because they've had a couple of
Yeah,
incidences.
but no, that was the biggest one. That was like
Okay.
that broke history. I mean, there was like 60,000 kids
Yeah.
out there.
Yes.
The
I
cops
don't-
came with
but
helicopters.
Here's my issue. Here's my issue with that. It's like how would you not know? Like you would think that if you have this band and a lot of people are hearing about it, that they just can't sit outside and just go, oh, we're gonna sign records for an hour or whatever. No,
But the funny thing about that,
because
they
you
didn't-
got Mexico, you got all these other places that are gonna come out.
And we didn't have social media today. We didn't have the phones. It was just word of mouth
Right.
and flyers. And we had the #1 station that was K-Rock.
Yes.
That was our radio station that, you know, hey, any band, Duran and Depeche Mode are going to be doing this warehouse. And Richard Blade was a DJ at K-Rock. So for me to be playing at a nightclub and then have Richard Blade introduce my band, that was like an awe for me. It was like I grew up watching this guy and he's
Yeah.
here. So I got to meet him and he liked, we did the show and it was a great response. I couldn't believe it because I was like, you know, oh, a tribute, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, you know. So for me it was challenging, but it was like it was a three-piece. It was myself, a keyboard player and a drummer.
Okay.
And then to kind of like the fourth member was the visuals. I wanted to do something because I'm a film editor, and I like to kind of bring production on the stage. So I was like, you know, I brought some TVs and stuff. So the music, the audio and video was all mixed together. So,
That is amazing
Yeah.
for your first show.
yeah. So they were like, wow, Freddie, you really have a nice, you know, it's not just going up there and playing songs. You actually have some production.
Yes.
And that's what sold. And then from that point on, I was word got around in LA, and ended up playing there several times. And then during that year, there was another tribute band called Blasphemous Rumors.
Okay, I've heard of them.
And I got to give them credit because they were like the first LA band, and they were in their 5th year already during the time when I came out
Gotcha.
in 20. So I met the founder of that band, and he came to see Sounds of la Mode. I remember I did a show out in Santa Monica, and he was there. I could see him because he portrays the Martin Gore. He had
Okay.
blonde hair and just
And he looks really, he has a hat. Does he wear the hat?
He wears a hat.
Yes,
He's
I think I've
full-on
seen
Martin
them
Gore
as well.
attire. Yeah. So I spotted him because I could go on stage. He was like, oh my God, that's the guy from the other band. I wonder if they're checking me out and seeing, you know, what's going, the competition, you know? And after the show, he approached me. He was like, you know what? I've heard about you. You got a great manner. And I'm building a new band. And I was wondering if you want to, be a part of this. And we talked about it, and he's like, I'm going to call it Strange Love. And
So he was coming away from Blasphemous Rumors, and he was okay.
yeah, so that's the history of, that's the history of how that happened. I got to give him credit for that. And then we started Strange Love in 2010.
Okay.
So he was also involved with already a talent agency. So I came in with already shows booked.
Okay.
you know.
Yeah. For a la mode, you have shows booked.
No, for Sounds of La Mode, I was booking that myself. But then coming into Strangelove with him, he already had an agency that was already working with him.
Okay.
So that was already booking Blasphemous Rumors.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, that's the politics of the whole this business. And so we did our first show. It was a sold out show. And then that ran till like 2018.
So that started around what year?
2010.
2010 to Strange Love.
Yeah,
Strange
January
Love.
of
Yeah.
2010. And then we just, God, the years went by fast. And then with my connections too, and being bilingual, I was able to
Absolutely.
meet promoters on Mexico internationally. Mexico, they love Depeche Mode. And the 80s.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Yeah.
we went to Mexico and did some shows out there, and then we had all these already shows that were established from this previous band, and it just took off. It took off, and until 2018, he moved out to Austin, and it was kind of different. We couldn't work the way we were able to work, and I left the band, and that's when I started Devotional in
So-
2018.
So we're gonna go back a little bit. So in 2010, January of 2010, you started with Strange Love. Strange Love was created. You guys got together under that agency who was already booking. Were
Right.
were they going to book both Blasphemous Rumors and Strange
No.
Love? They discontinued.
Yeah, they just, because he had more pool, and they're like,
Okay.
it's like, I was a newcomer. I was like, how does this industry work?
Right.
You know, and he was like, hey, I already have shows booked in 4 months. You know, you're
Okay.
going to be the new guy. And
Now, was there a reason why he couldn't still use the Blasphemous Rumors name? And why he had to change it
He
to
wanted to
Strange
change.
Love?
He didn't really like that name at first of all when he first told
Okay.
me. You know, it was already a band that was already established, and they were, like I said, they're already in their 5th year into it.
Okay, which is not very long.
No.
Yeah.
And there was a convention that Ray from Chaos Records in West Covina thinks.
Yes, Ray.
Yes.
We're gonna get Ray in.
Yeah.
He's a totally camera shy.
Oh,
but
no,
we're gonna.
I love
we're-
that guy.
Yeah, we're gonna have to find out the whole history of the convention. Is this something that I think should be a whole lot bigger, even though it's already big? Because I know Ray is really, really busy when it's convention time.
Yeah.
So, but we're gonna talk to Ray. So Ray, be on the lookout
Awesome.
for it sitting down with me.
Yeah, and during that, I remember that first time when I did Sounds of La Mode, everybody was there because it was like, "Who's this guy?"
Yeah.
What Sounds of La Mode?
Yeah.
So Ray was there. Everybody was just like, "What's this?" It was all new, and then when I did when I went into Strange Love, they were like, "Okay, this is a full on. This is a bigger picture now," you know.
Yeah.
And then 2018 came, no, 2017, and now that's like 2018. I'm leaving Strange Love and
Right.
beginning Devotional. And
So because they did get a new singer,
Yes.
they got someone else, and so they're still playing.
Yeah,
they're
they're still
still
playing.
they're still out there. Strange Love, for all you Strange Love fans, they're definitely still out there. And then, but once that kind of uncoupling happened, you immediately said, "I'm going to continue with the tribute. I'm not going to stop." Even though,
yeah. I mean, I thought about it. I was like, well, I've had a good run, 8 years, and but I wasn't done.
okay,
Because I wanted to do songs that Strange Love weren't touching.
yes,
you know.
yes. Uh-huh.
So I said,
I mean, you only have a certain amount of time to perform.
yeah,
too.
90
There's just
minutes,
like
22 songs. That's pretty much what it is. I already know. So 90 minutes, you know, and then the show, that's what you get booked for, you know. And,
Okay.
And so I was like, well, there is going to be a difference from Strange Love, totally different. So I revamped the whole show. I brought like the B-sides of Depeche Mode.
Yes,
Dangerous,
yes.
Sin, Happiest Girl.
Can I tell you that I saw you did a small venue in San Diego, is where I live.
Oh, nice.
And it was definitely before the lockdowns, and I think it was about a year before you guys were in San Diego, and it was a little hole in the wall place, packed, and all I kept saying the whole time that I was there, because you guys had to come from the back
Yes.
to set up
That was
everything.
a small venue, the smallest venue in San Diego
And I kept thinking to myself, why the heck did they choose this little thing in San Diego? Why? We see it's like wall to wall, everybody sweating.
That was the most hottest. I remember I tried to, I have these costume changes. So I couldn't get my jacket off. It was just,
Yeah, I would.
I remember that show. And because of like Strangelove, they had.
But we're glad you came to San Diego. We're
Of course.
no shade on that
I
bar, but
was,
we were very glad that you were
yeah.
close.
What was the name of it?
I don't remember.
I remember, but
Because it could have changed names by now.
yeah, and actually, they changed the owner that was there's no longer there. He sold it, and now it's something else. But
Okay.
I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna, I was at that time. I was like, hey guys, I'm not a stranger, but I'm doing devotional here. This is my new project.
Okay.
So I did.
So did the fans were they asking where are you at?
Yeah.
Because I don't think a lot of us knew what was going on. So people who knew you, were they surprised that you continued, or were they?
Yeah, it's funny. There was like this whole like, what's going on in tribute scene, man? Why did Freddie leave Strangelove
Yes.
and all that? And
Yes.
so I didn't really focus on that. I just got on it at the
Good.
beginning of the year. I don't like to get into the whole drama of stuff. Things happen,
Right.
But
As in any family,
yeah,
things happen.
exactly. Things happen, and I'm one where I don't focus on that. I just get on the saddle. Let's go, horses. Let's go.
Yeah.
Because there's no time, and at that time I just wanted people to say that first year was difficult for me, the transition.
Yeah.
But thanks to the promoters who saw the value of my show and the difference, because there's a difference. You see, Strangelove's got their own spin,
Yes, there is
and
a
Devotional's got their, so I revamped all the video stuff because I produced all the videos for everything. Now I wasn't just the singer of Strangelove. I produced the stage production, some sound design too as well, and bookings too as well.
Okay.
I got it.
So you were really, really not just the face and the pretty boy.
Yeah, I wasn't
You
just
were
like,
really
all right, here's my mic, let's go. No, I was involved with the marketing.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I don't think a lot of people really understand is that when you have a band and you're seeing someone on stage and it doesn't seem like they're the writer, it doesn't seem like they have a big input, but they're doing a lot behind the scenes because there's a lot to do. There's a complete whole thing that you have to get on stage and to perform.
Yeah, so with that experience, because in like 2000, I worked at 3 major labels. I worked for Sony Music, Universal. I was a production coordinator.
Okay.
So I was hands-on on marketing, how to promote a record, how to promote a band, how to, get involved with promoters, how to promote. So I used all that from what I learned when I left the record industry, which was in 2003. And then I went into the film industry, and that lasted 10 years till 2013.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because when MP3 came, that destroyed the industry.
Which one? The music industry?
The music industry.
Okay.
The audio, the CDs, because Napster destroyed the music.
A lot of
industry.
people say that Napster really
Napster
did.
was,
People
because-
had to rethink. Maybe it wasn't destroying. You just had to think
Well,
something
no,
new.
but, well, it's like, look, the old generation had, look at all these years.
Yes. A
lot
whole
of years.
century.
Exactly.
Yes.
So technology came, and MP3 did
Just like that.
The digital format
Yes.
came in, and they were like,
MTV. We love you, MTV.
exactly, right? So I was involved in that, where I was like, wow, we're transitioning now. The world is changing.
Yes.
No more CDs. Now we have these digital devices where you can download. Well, you have the internet. You can download. I mean, Napster, we were sharing files.
Yes.
So instead of people going to a store and buying a CD for $12, $18, if you had to buy an import, $30.
Yes. Which we all did. We all
I spent so much money. I like
whole collection. A lot of us still got our stuff.
albums. Well, our generation was cassettes.
Yes.
And I did see an 8-track too, because my parents.
Exactly. Our dad, my brother and I had Flash Gordon on 8-track. And so anytime we would get into the car with him, we go, Dad, put on Flash Gordon. So it was all Queen and Flash. So
Yeah. So I remember when, I guess the tape the song would fade, and then we'd go to track 2, and it would fade in again. These kids were like, what? I have Spotify, man. I just downloaded. I got the full-on track,
You kids are so spoiled now.
Yeah,
Yes.
so it's good to, like, I went from all that. I got to see the experience. So, going back to that era of music, it just changed. It changed the industry.
Yes.
Now we have Spotify.
Yes. I love my Spotify.
And it's now it's about playlists. It's about
I have tons of playlists.
you know, it's kind of hard to keep up to nowadays, seriously.
Yeah, because not only if you have the songs that you like on Spotify, then they're starting to suggest all of these new things or things you've forgotten. So you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. I forgot about Simply Red. Oh man, now I have to listen to the
Yeah,
whole thing of Simply Red.
which is cool because the new generation gets to like, well, if you like Duran Duran, you'll like these bands,
Yes.
Spandau Ballet and
But you know, MTV kind of did that too. Somebody
Yeah.
talked about MTV, VH1, BET, all of those things that we were watching back in those days, and how the fear of missing out kind of started then. This is why our generation has such an eclectic taste, is because you were watching these channels and they had layers to their music. So while you may have been watching like Erasure, a little bit of Depeche Mode, they didn't do too much, but then you love Whitesnake.
Right.
You know, so you're listening, you go, is this love that I'm feeling? You know, so you're doing
Exactly,
that, or you turn to Michael Jackson and Prince, and then there was Bowie,
Yeah.
Modern Love, so it
And
was
you have those rock bands, Def Leppard, and
yeah.
But see, like I was saying, like I think Duran Duran is much more commercial. They were full on like.
Do you think they intended to, or they were made that way?
I think they were made that way. I mean,
Yeah. Because all the girls were like, "Hi,
yeah, I mean, yeah, but they had Coca-Cola sponsor their tour in '94. I mean,
Did they really?
Yeah, it was
Why in the world do you know that?
It was funny because there's an interview where it's like John Taylor's like, he's got all the Coca-Cola. They did an interview, and he's got all the Coca-Cola execs there. And then they asked John, it's like, so what do you think about Coca-Cola sponsoring your tour? Well, I prefer Pepsi. So that was like, oh,
The check was already in the bank.
yeah. So that's a fun. You can find that interview, but yeah, Depeche Mode is very underground. Word of mouth.
It was.
K-Rock is the station that made Depeche Mode.
Yeah.
I mean, and then of course their amazing concert at 101, which was 101, which was the reason why it was 101 because it was 101 shows.
And they were supposed to just do 100, but they
Yes.
said that they got one more.
Because they're like, we can't end on 100.
Yes. So what was because I know that Pasadena was already scheduled. So what was the show that they snuck in? Was there another show?
No.
We don't know. We don't.
No, that was it.
That was the one that they
was it.
snuck in,
Yeah.
and that was the biggest.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
what that was my first concert.
You were there.
Yes.
Shut up.
Thanks to my new waiver friend who was older than me. What was his name? I think his name was Rob. Tall dude, always dressed
How
in.
old were you, if you don't mind me asking, at that time?
I was 17, 18. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was at the peak. I mean, good times. I remember. And my friend just, hey, Freddie, I have a ticket. You want to go? I want to take you to this concert. He was he was like my big brother.
Okay.
Like he would take me and he would like, dress like this. He was very new wave. He dressed like Adam Ant, or he dressed like very new romantic. My dad was like, you guys going to a Halloween party?
So why you say I'm dressed like it's Halloween ministry?
He would take me to these stores because you couldn't find that at the mall. Well, we went to this one store called The Factory in downtown LA. It was awesome. And you walked in, it was like all the wardrobe, like
Yes.
Duran Duran, the buttons with the...
Yeah, oh, right.
Right?
Yes, right. They flipped over.
The full-on romantic, the
was that
baggy...
called?
Yeah, so...
Double-breasted with a
Yes,
double-breasted?
the double-breasted
Yes.
jacket. Kind of like what you saw in Lesson Zero, that type of attire. So thanks to him and because of him, I was able to go to that concert. And I remember I asked my parents, Dad, can I go to a concert? I was like, yeah, concert? And he came in and talked to him. No, I'll take care of him. Okay. And I was able to go to that concert, and that was amazing to do. I was on the left-hand side of the Rose Bowl.
Were you?
Yeah. So when Dave did that whole legendary,
Yes,
the first time.
Was that the first
Very
time?
first time. Very first time.
Oh my God. I guess he wanted to see the crowd. He wanted to see.
Yes, because it was dark, and then when he did that, I was like, hey, he was all just.
Now, is it
so
true that he
energetic.
really cried like at the
Yeah, he
end of
did.
that show?
Well, I think it was. I mean, as a kid and watching that 101 concert, you feel that you get teary-eyed because huge.
Yeah.
For a European band, a British
Who
band.
were young. They were
Yeah.
relatively young.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that was just the peak, and that's what Depeche Mode. I mean, they left that mark.
Yeah. So doing this, which is legendary,
Yes.
and I've seen other people copy.
Yeah,
there's
that's Dave's thing, like the hands up in the air, and you see it was 80,000 people there doing that. It was just amazing, and So now that I incorporate that too when I do Never Let Me Down, and what I do is like now that we have cell phones, when I do the long extended version of Never Let Me Down, it gives me a moment to kind of say, hey, all right, guys, take your cell phones out, and then all right, turn your lights on. And then one guy, I go, copy that guy, and then everybody's like, okay, And then everything's lit, and then when it's time to do it's just beautiful.
You can see all these people who are
And you see the
enjoying
lights
it.
now because now they're using the phone and they're using instead of a lighter,
Right, because it's burning. We always ended up with the black.
Right,
Yeah.
why is your thumb black?
Yeah.
It's just I bring that. And it's just amazing that I'm able to like experience with Dave. So that's like the signature Dave Gahan.
Yes. I did not know that. I did not know that he was, and that's good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah,
Yes.
Dave. So now that's like every time when that song comes out, Never Let Me Down, everybody's ready for it.
So now that you have Devotional, and who's the band? Tell us a little bit about the
Yes,
band.
the band. I went through a lot of members the first year.
How did you come together with this lineup here?
Just luck and passion, I guess. They saw
Yes.
how passionate I was. Brian Soto, he's my right-hand side, very talented. Big Depeche Mode band too. He had his own Depeche Mode band called Sweetest Perfection, and he still does, but now that he's part involved with me. Just great guitar player, understands Martin's part, like the way he sings and
But he doesn't dress up
No, he
like that.
doesn't.
He does he vocally
Yes.
very good. And that's what's refreshing because it's you're not trying to so much be like them. But you're able to give that experience where people feel like they have to have a Martin. He has to have blonde hair. He has to
and when I went to Devotion, I was like, well, because that's what's strange about it. They portray, they try to look, but Devotion is much more about the music, the sound, the production. I didn't really want to be too much like, and I have my stage attire that I like to wear.
Okay.
The leather. I love leather. Well, people, sorry for the leather. It's not fake leather,
It's not pleather.
It's a pleather,
Yeah.
And so I've been able to kind of like, like during Personal Jesus, I have my silver jacket.
Yes.
And I bring the hat, and then other jackets, my favorite jackets that I bring in.
And I wanted to talk about wardrobe. I'm glad because that was one of the things that I missed and talk about doing the costume changes because with Dave, it's like, and I get why you're doing it because there's 40 years that you're presenting,
Yes.
right? Whereas when Dave's on stage, he has the one outfit and then he's disrobing. I'm pretty sure it's because he's hot and he's tired, right?
Yeah, of course.
But he's able to do that. But when you come in and then you see these different costume changes, it's like, how did you create that? Like, do you have a specific closet, Freddie, with all of your Depeche Mode?
Yes,
like,
I do now.
From way back then to now, do you have
Yeah.
it? Is it gonna get auctioned off? Can I?
Actually, I did give our tech. We have Brian's girlfriend. She's amazing. She's like our tech, handles the tech and management on stage, like the stage manager, and she's been just amazing, just taking care of stuff. And I ended up giving her one of my jackets. Like, oh, you know what? This is for you. I gave it to her last year, one of my other jackets, and she was like, "Oh my God, Freddie!" It's like just in case, that's a memory of me, and that jacket's been around the world, so it's like
Right.
yeah, and so I got new wearing apparel, and now I actually have met designers, and I have a friend who passed away a year ago, and I would go to his shop in Melrose, and he would tell me, "Freddie, I just got this new look, these jackets and these pants," and it was always good to like. He was a big Depeche Mode fan too. He's like, "You can wear this," and now this jacket that I wear is like probably the last jacket that he.
Oh, he made. Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I wear that with
What was his name one more time? What's the name of the shop?
the shop is called oh my God, I can't even think about it right now.
Yeah.
It's
But he was there for you, and he was
yes.
there for you to go into.
He was
that.
there since the beginning. I remember when I went when I was in. I mean, these are people who were there on Melrose mom and pop shows for like 30 years.
Yeah.
When I went to the rave scene, that's when I discovered his store. I'll figure out what the name of the store. I just can't.
Yes. Lots of information that I'm asking. A whole like years and years that you have to do in an hour interview.
Yeah. So it's it's been kind of just amazing to also see and meet other people who want to help me and say, hey, Freddie, you know, you can use this. So now,
So when
like,
you're out on the street, do you feel like in LA, do you feel like you have to be on all the time? Like
no,
you have to be Freddie, the tribute guy, or can you just be
that's
Freddie Morales?
that's what's cool about, like Depeche Mode. They're always Depeche Mode. Dave and Martin can't walk down the street. You know, they'll be, you know,
Yeah, we talked about that when they were going to Germany to do their
yeah,
their
they
thing, and
just
so somebody was there at the airport, just happened to be there when they were
yes.
walking in, and I was conversing with my brother, and I was like, if I were there, I'm pretty sure the cops would have been called because I would have been hanging on at both their ankles, like,
Exactly. So
"Batman!"
yeah, for me, I kind of I like the fact that I can be, my persona, devotional Dave on stage, and then off stage I'm Freddie.
Okay, but you do get a lot of approaches. You
No,
get a lot.
it's. I mean, sometimes at the, random places I can be at a Starbucks like, hey, I saw you at OC Fair. Oh, thank you, man. My whole family enjoyed the show. Or I can be at a taco stand. It's like, hey, are you that from the guy from the Depeche Mode? See, amigo. Oh, I love your show. And so, yeah, I think 13 years. It's long. And like last year, touch this subject. I lost my mom due to COVID complications, and it was a tough year last year.
Yes, and we talked about this, and
Yeah.
you did do an announcement, and a lot of people were praying for you
Yeah.
and
Thank you.
praying for
Thank
your
you. Thank
family,
you.
and it was hard to hear,
Yeah.
and then to say that you were stepping away, and I think like I said before, that I remember thinking in that moment when I read that is he needs some time to grieve. He needs this time. I didn't believe at the time that you were going to be gone. So then when, I heard you were, I was like, this is what your parents wanted you to do, do it. And,
Yeah.
and in honest, I think you speak to that. Like,
Well, my parents. I mean, I love my parents. I have been luckiest to have the parents that I had. They supported not just me, my brother, my sister. They're very supportive, and they taught us, hey, you can reach your dreams, but you have to have something to fall back. And I always did. I always wanted my parents to be proud of me and my accomplishments in life.
yeah.
And I'm glad that my dad and mom got to see me at the OC Fair. Like, oh my God, just like,
Yeah.
and seeing them and then shouting, oh, my parents are here. My mom, she's, I remember when I would have fans like, hey, I was next to your mom. She's so nice. And,
Yeah.
and so you guys have we have the same face. It's like,
Gotcha. Yeah. I've seen the pictures. It is. It's like,
as a
yeah.
matter of fact, I'm wearing this today because this is a memory of my mom. She used to wear this.
Okay.
This is her.
It fits you.
And her ring. She's wearing this ring. So it was a big loss for me to lose my mom. I didn't expect her. She was
And this
75.
was, she was
January.
January.
Well, she ended up getting COVID like the tail end of December. I did a New Year's show. I spoke to her on New Year's because I spoke to my mom every day. And
Yeah.
I spoke to her during New Year's Day. And then on January 2nd, my sister calls me and tells me, I had to take mom to the hospital. I'm like, what? Why? She's like, her oxygen levels are low.
Okay.
It's like, oh my God. And I was just, so it was a hard 33 days my mom fought. All of January. Yeah. This is like the month that it happened. So every day was just painful my anxiety levels was off. I couldn't sleep. My sister would send me texts. Okay, I talked to the doctor, and we would get 3 reports during the day and how mom was doing. And she was fighting, and my mom was just fighting until, I don't know, something happened towards the end. And I got that call where my sister all had to say, Freddie, I need you to come to the hospital. I was like, oh my God. And that drive was just quiet. I ended up picking my sister, my aunt, my mom's sister, to come with me. And I got to the hospital. It was out in Moreno Valley. My sister was the one who was closest, so she got there first before my brother and I. And when I arrived to the hospital, I saw my sister and my brother already out, and my sister had this bag, and I was like, that looks like my mom's belongings.
Yeah.
And as I approached, and she just said, mom didn't make it. And when she said that, I don't know, my heart I lost it. And, they were having the protocols during that time. You just couldn't. So I rushed to the front counter. I say, I need to get in there. I don't
Yes.
care. You got to take a COVID test. I'll take it. I need to get in there.
Yeah.
You understand? I haven't seen my mom, and that walk to her room was just terrible. And my mom was full of life. And my mom was just the light of our family. And to see her lifeless, knowing that I couldn't be there to say goodbye, to tell her how much I appreciated her. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional.
No, but she
This,
knew.
this is my
She
first
knew
time
that.
talking about that, and luckily I'm glad that my sister was there to see her last breath, and to send her off, and that changed my life. Once you lose your parents, and I was very close to my parents.
And when did your father pass?
My father passed 9 years ago. He had complications with cancer too.
Okay.
He passed in 2013, December 15th, at 77 years of age. And now my mom, and I just like I began the year, not only that, so my uncle too ended up getting COVID. It was just that whole whatever Delta with whatever that was happening during
The
that
variant
time, the
time, yeah.
variant, and he ended up spoke. It's funny because I spoke to my uncle 2 weeks when my mom was already in the ICU, and then he ended up getting infected, and then he was admitted to the ICU, and then so my mom passed on February 5th, and then my uncle passed February 6th.
Oh my
That makes sense.
gosh.
Yeah, so it was like, I get a text from my cousins like, oh, your uncle passed. Like, what? So it was just like boom, boom, one after the other. And then just recently, just December of the 26th, my aunt, my dad's sister, who fought for cancer for a long time, 10 years too, passed away on December 26th. But the difference is I was able to be there for, we were all there. And sometimes I think I was like, I wish I wish we were there for mom, but that's just the way things are.
You were though.
You know,
You were there.
so
You know.
I've learned a lot. My life has changed since
How,
that experience.
just briefly, because we don't want to impose, but
No.
how has it changed since now that because I know a lot of people who lose both their parents, they kind of feel orphaned a little bit. So how has that changed, and how did that make you kind of revamp and think about the future and your vision for the future?
Well, I'm lucky that I'm very close to my sister and my brother. Yeah, you feel like an orphan. You feel like, but then again, like even though they're not here, I discipline myself. Like, okay, I know they're not here. This is what mom and dad wouldn't want me to do.
Okay.
And some people when they go through something like that, they end up doing other things.
Yeah.
Substances, alcohol, get away from the pain. And for me, I just got more into my spiritual belief. I embraced Islam. That's kind of like, I'm just speaking my own experiences. That religion has helped me to accept the passing of my parents.
Oh.
It's helped me to kind of just be connected to the Almighty, and that's how I live my life. And every day we're here as a test. This world is a test for us.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate. I wake up in the morning. I give thanks, and I try to do the very best. Reach out to the people who I love. Not get involved with the bullying that we see now on social media, and it feels like after this pandemic we've gotten so separated. There's no that human contact where, are you okay, how are you doing, do you
Yeah.
need anything?
Yes.
And from that experience I try to kind of say, you know what, remind my parents, I remind my friends who still have their parents, hang out with your parents. When was the last time you talked to your dad? They're not going to be here. Or reach out, go, and they're like, thanks Freddie for reminding me. Yeah, because they're your parents.
So you've through this experience and through just really connecting with God. So it's been more prayer life, more
Yes.
loving people, a lot more compassion on
Exactly.
yourself, maybe,
Exactly.
and other people.
Yes, very, very compassionate. I mean, I love people, and I mean, Muslims, we pray 5 times a day, and I have that schedule now, which is very important for me. I that's kind of like the discipline that I have.
You needed that.
I needed that.
Yeah.
To be I was already connected to God, but now I'm much more connected to God
Gotcha.
because for me and what we believe in, there's an afterlife, and for me, I'm also preparing myself for the afterlife.
Right.
That's what I believe in. So it's helped me to move on because life is hard.
It is hard.
It's gotten a lot harder for people
Yeah.
after the pandemic.
Especially if you don't, there's no hope, right? And I think a
Right.
lot that when we're believing in God, that allows us to have hope that this is not the end.
Yes, this is
Yeah.
not the end, and that's what I've learned during my journey now with Islam, and I've met brothers and sisters who are we're just very united. We help each other out, and it's beautiful to have that, and I needed that because being in the music industry, you have access to everything,
Gotcha.
you know.
Yeah, it's very
And
easy.
and for me, I've always been that person where I'm not gonna do this. I gotta go to this road for me. People say, "How old are you, Freddie?" "I'm 50." "Well, you don't look like you're 50." Like, it's like, what are you doing?
Not doing that.
Yeah, I'm not doing that or drugs or alcohol. It's like no, it's just love for life and respecting life.
Yeah, smiling a lot more.
Smile a lot more. I'm smiling a lot more now. I couldn't do that the first 6 months of the grieving, and the grieving is always going to be there. I mean, I'm still grieving the passing of my grandmother. God rest her soul, Mama Cello, we call her. She lived to be 100.
Oh,
She
so there-
outlived everybody.
So there's longevity in your family.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's what I thought my mom was like. Mom, she was very healthy, and things happened, but she's the one who outlived everyone 100, and of natural causes.
If you don't mind me asking, when did
That
she
was
pass?
4 years ago. She passed in 2018. Yeah,
Okay.
2018. 1918 and 2018. 100 years.
Oh
And
man, that's a blessing.
Yeah,
She saw a lot.
yeah. She saw a lot. Think of like what she saw from the beginning.
Yes.
I mean, we were immigrants and we're Mexican. They came from Mexico. They came here, and I think that in seeing how they worked hard to establish a life here, to build a life, learning from that, they lived the American dream.
Yeah.
My dad worked very hard. He bought his first house. My mom was a homemaker, and she also helped dad, with the bills. And my dad was a very handy man too. He had a full-time job working for a steel company, and then he went to school and got his contractor license.
Wow.
My dad didn't finish high school. Like, he had 10 brothers. He was like five brothers and sisters.
Rewind.
Yeah,
10.
yeah.
Yeah,
My
that was
grandma
back in the day.
back
When
then there was no TV.
They were
back
just
then.
popping.
It was like there was no TV back then. So my dad was the oldest of the family, and so he was like the one, like, he came to the States and then started a life here. And my mom and
Did he meet your mom here, or did they meet?
they met actually in Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it was through my mom's sister's husband.
Oh.
Yeah.
He saw your mom, was like,
So he
"Come
saw my
over
mom
here."
yeah, I mean, my mom went through. I had a father, a biological father,
Okay.
so I didn't get to meet him. I heard that he wanted to be an artist too, but
And he just kind of flew away with the wind.
yeah, he did. And then my mom was just very devastated from that experience. And then my father came into the picture, and he picked me up when I was 3 years old. So
So that's the only dad you've ever known.
yeah, and like, he's my father. I'm the man I am today because of him. He really disciplined. It's just old school discipline,
Yeah. Oh, trust me.
Yeah, it's like none of
Yeah,
it's like go to the corner. No, it's like, hey.
They don't even do that. My youngest, she's a assistant at an elementary school, and she comes back with all these stories of working with these kids, and then they also get to see the parents. So now they know why the kids are the way that they are.
Right.
And I said, you guys don't put them in a timeout anymore? She said, we can't do that. We
No.
can't put them in timeout.
I'm
If
sorry.
they
It's like we're losing.
if they stab another kid,
Right.
you just have to say, now, Johnny, we don't stab other people. We don't stab our friends.
I mean,
know?
I remember going to school where even teachers were disciplining. I remember there was this bad kid in school, and he was he was like telling everybody F yous and this and that, and, and the teacher's like, come
He
here.
was teaching you the alphabet.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, hey, that's not gonna work here, and he would get, spanked.
Yeah,
or,
you would with the ruler. You get, yeah.
bam, bam. Actually, no, the boys with the butt.
paddle.
And
You
the
had the
girls with the
paddle.
hand, and but that's the kind of generation I grew up in.
We grew up in that generation. Yeah.
But going back to like life today for me,
yeah.
I'm doing better.
Do you love Freddie now? I mean, not to say you didn't love Freddie before, but how are you?
I know more about myself now than ever.
Really?
I really now, because I was always during my 20s. I'm not married. I didn't have kids.
You can still?
Yeah. and it's a little harder. I think today it's harder to find a partner. Um, I've had probably 4 relationships in my lifetime, that 6, 7 years and all that. But I think that people are not there for you when you're in your low.
Really?
Yeah, they just can't deal with it. You know,
Is it
they're there for in your highs,
Yes.
but when you're going through something, they just either can't deal with it or don't want to. And
Do you think it's different because you are an artist and you are a musician versus if you were just a lay person? Then do you think
you
that
know,
there's a expectation that a significant other has on you? Like it's always shining. It's never cloudy. It's always shining.
Yes.
So when
Yes.
when it gets cloudy, they're like, oh my gosh, why isn't it
yeah,
shining?
when is it shining?
Yeah. Why aren't you making it shine for me?
Look, artists and creative people we're human beings.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
I liked what I do on stage, but I don't like to be that all. I like to get off stage and just be like, look,
Yes.
we're having a conversation, we're having coffee. I don't need to be on the spotlight all the time, and I think that's what's cool about being a tribute. Which sucks because I think when you're like a Michael Jackson or you're a Elvis that's always you have to be that all the time.
Yes.
And I think that's why a lot of artists go into depression because it's hard to maintain that level of just stardom.
Well, I watched not too long ago, but I watched the Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yes.
And and Freddie Mercury, and how when he wasn't on stage and he was in his big old house with his ex-wife living across the way,
Right.
and he's like, "You want to come over? You want to do something?" And it was
I'm glad you pointed because I want people to understand that yes, as artists, as creative people, it's a blessing and it's a talent that we do what we do on stage. But the majority of the time we're alone. Like when I finish a show and everybody in the band, especially now with COVID, everybody's got their own room. I come back to an empty room.
yeah,
And I come to a room and I have my meal and I catch up to my loved ones. Hey, I'm here and this and that. But there is no audience there when you're in your room, when you're traveling, and it's a sacrifice. It's something that I think you mature as an art. I've learned that. I mean, I've traveled with my band, but then the majority of the time I'm a loner.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's okay. That's something that I don't expect people to. And I'm also not one to where I need to be, I want to be in the mix, and
right.
Yes.
Yes.
You get tired. I just
like,
want alone time. And I like that to be, I come home and I go to my hotel room and I watch my favorite whatever's on TV, catching up with the world.
Yes.
And then I go to social media. Hey guys, and then that's it,
But it's one thing to still be able to do those things. I know that my brother, he's an actor, and he talked a lot about that, because you're still preparing,
Yes.
right? When you're alone, you're still preparing.
Yes.
But it's good to be able to have someone, like his wife, who will allow him that time to prepare, go somewhere else, and he can
Yes.
he can call and say, hey, can you look at this for me? And then she knows when to exit. You know what I'm saying?
that's the hard part to find.
It's hard to find that.
That person.
Yeah.
think
That
that's
will
dr-
see the cues and go, okay, and have a life of their own.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I've met people like that, but it's been very difficult to find that one person where they understand what you do.
Yeah.
And they appreciate what you do and what you give so much of yourself to. And then, all right, I'm going to let you prepare yourself. I'm
Right.
good. I'm going to go take care. Because sometimes there's a lot of needy people. They like to to be shared. Like, where's my spotlight? Oh, can you put
Yeah.
a spotlight on her? And it's like,
Yeah.
so I've always kind of had to like make sure they're okay before I'm even okay.
Yes.
Go to the
And that's
green room, hey, make sure they have their favorites so they can be happy because I don't
Oh,
want to hear it
gosh.
at the end.
Yeah,
'Cause
right.
I got a lot of shit. Excuse me, I got a shit to prepare myself.
I'm not going home with this. So you better have that person's green tea or whatever they like, because I'm not, Freddie,
Exactly.
why didn't they have my stuff?
Right, those were my favorite M&Ms.
Yeah.
It's like, are you serious? They're M&Ms. They're chocolate.
No, I want the yellow and red ones.
I'm not even asking. I didn't even get the hummus I wanted. It's like, there's.
But do you have an assistant? Do you have anybody that's there that kind of
To tell you the truth, I've
attend?
never had that.
Okay.
I'm my own assistant. I don't know how God gives me the power to do that. And I'm not just saying that, I'm knocking my ex-girlfriends out. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I do everything. I'm the man of all hats.
Okay.
You know, I'm the singer and the producer. I'm making sure my band members are okay. I'm making sure that they're paid well too. And you know, you have to take care of. It's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice for what I do. You know. I mean, as soon as I go do loading, I don't go to my green room. I'm already talking to the sound guy, the louding guy. Okay, and then at the end, I'm taking my gear to the green room, and then I'm hanging my stuff out, and then I have to have like this time, and then we go and do sound check, and then that's when I'm like, okay, everything's good. We did sound check, the lighting, everything, guest list is done, and these important people are taken care of, and then I'm like, all right, I need my time now.
Got you.
It's discipline too, because I need my time too to kind of,
Absolutely.
you know.
Absolutely.
I want people to understand who Freddie is off stage. What does he do when he goes back to his hotel, or the experience of a loss of,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm not saying like, oh, poor me. It's just the experience
But
of
that's
being,
okay, because, you know, you don't have to explain
Yeah.
because it's very human.
yeah, yeah. You
And
know,
be human.
you have to be human, you know, and
We don't want you to stop being a rock star, but you can still be human.
yeah, I didn't know what to expect last year. I mean, after when I took that, because I was busy. I mean, I had 4 shows every month, like going here, going there,
And you just
airports.
cut it?
I cut it. First time, I'm done.
Gotcha.
I didn't know. And Freddie, are you sure you want to quit? I was like, I don't know. I just need this time. I don't know where my world's. I just lost my world, my mom.
Yeah.
I lost my dad, and now my mom. That's it. It's gone. I need to process this. I can't just go on stage and I just need my time. And a lot of people respected that. And I'm very grateful. Thank you for giving me that time that I needed, because now, I don't know, I come back with a different energy on stage. Very different now. You know, I remember when I first got back and we did our first, the OC Fair was like, Freddie, I want you to do the OC Fair at the hangar, but also Pacific Amphitheater. I was like, oh my God, that's 10,000 people.
Right.
I can't just rest and then jump into that.
Right.
It's like training for the marathon. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to book these shows to kind of get myself back
Right.
on the saddle.
So you were looking in to see where's
how
Freddie at?
Yeah, if I was going to get, you know, how I was going to feel on stage, or because I don't want to shortchange the public. Like, I don't want to say, oh, you know, Freddie did, but you know, it wasn't, you know, 100%. Or
Right.
something. No, I didn't want to do that to the audience.
Well, thank you.
You know, so
Yeah.
so I kind of just like, all right, let's do some shows here to kind of get, and my band members, and Brian, you know, and Belinda, and JC, and Alex, Otto, they were there for me, and they said, whenever you're, but they're also too, I was like, you're not done, Freddie. I hope you come back. They take all the time you need, but you're not
So
done.
you didn't feel the pressure of, we have these commitments, we're canceling a show, that's my money, that's my bread and butter, like, what are you doing to us?
Yeah, they didn't go that, which I knew, because I have, like I said, it's my hobby became my full-time job. That's my career. You know, that's how we make our living. That's how we pay our bills. That's how, you know, and I knew that.
Now, let's go back to that, because that took time for all you guys who are out there that are struggling musicians right there, and you always think that it's going to be this way. And so you're tempted to kind of say bye-bye to your art, but there's a waiting period. And in that waiting period, would you say that that's your training period?
Yes.
When you're not seeing the money roll in and things like that. But you learned a lot during that time. You kept busy during that time where it didn't become full-time for you, or where you can say bye to the film industry and bye working for this
Yeah,
person.
but that was, you know, because I got tired of the whole corporate stuff with that.
A lot of
you
us
know,
are tired of corporate.
Tired of it. And I'm like, I'm just done working for this, you know, it's like, you gotta be here. No,
Yeah.
I don't, I did that. I lived it. Now I just want to be able to do what I need. And it's been a blessing for me to be able to have a career where I'm able, like, I handpick my own shows now. I don't have to go and do all these shows, because I now it's the bread and butter for us and my bandmates. But I did. I said, I'm sorry, you guys. I know you guys were expecting, you know, that's kind of like your income too. But they gave me that time to, and then they don't just, they have also other projects. So
Good. Yes.
So Brian, he's got 3 projects. He does a great Cure tribute band.
Oh, what
Yeah,
do we know the name?
The Curse.
The Cure.
Yeah, so check them out. They don't dress like the Cure, but he sounds like Robert Smith. Yeah,
Okay.
it's just, I mean,
No
amazing.
hair, Brian? You
No
don't have the hair and the
He
lipstick?
tried it, but he's just Brian is just,
Couldn't get the right shade.
yeah.
That's what it was.
And then he has a New Order tribute called
Oh,
Technique, which we're going to be playing on January 27th, our first show of the year at the Garden Amp.
okay. All
You
right.
should come
So
out to
for
that.
everybody, we just got our first, like, it's going to be at the Garden Amp, and the Garden Amp is located.
I think that's in like OC area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just look it up. Just
Yeah.
look it up, and
You can
then
check out our Facebook and Instagram, and our website's I'm designing a new website. Hopefully it'll be up soon. But Garden Amp, and we'll
and that's
be there.
January 27th.
27th is our first show.
And
of
it's
the
at
year.
7.
At 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah. And Technique will be opening up the night. It's always a great bill because it's like the best of both worlds, New Order and Depeche Mode.
Yeah. So it's going to be the 9th. I mean, sorry, Technique is opening up for Devotional.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then
Okay.
I have a great DJ, my friend Jose Schutzen. He's a great DJ from LA who plays everywhere. You can see him at the Offbeat.
Mm-hmm.
He does a lot of great guy, and he'll be DJing, at the beginning and end. So yeah, so they were able to kind of go back into those projects while I was going
You were
through
taking, you're breathing.
yes,
You were breathing.
recharging and
Yes.
learning how to live my life with the separation of not having my parents and my mom.
Yes.
And I just, like I said, I want people to understand that, because a lot of people, are questioning, or they're just wondering what we go through, and I'm fine with being an open book, and because I want people to understand, my life and who Freddie Morales is today.
Yeah, and I do believe that all of this is an encouragement. So when you look back on it, because you're going to live to be 100, and so you're looking back on it in the next 40 years, and you're seeing, and then you have new people
Yes.
who aren't even born right now,
Yeah.
and they're going to look back and they're going to be searching you out, and they're going to see this, and then they're going to.
Well, I have I don't have kids, but I have nephews. They've seen me like, oh, my uncle is the artist, and they've gone to, for them to kind of look like, wow, this is what our Theo went through, our uncle went
Yes.
through, and this is who he is. and
Yes.
this is who's, so
It's wisdom.
yeah,
Yeah.
wisdom. And I'm accepting that. I think, I can't even believe I'm able to even express myself. It's always been kind of like how do I express myself? But now it just comes out so naturally because of the life experience, the trial and tribulations that I've had in my life.
Yes.
And for all the artists out there who are going through and reach your dreams. We're gonna go. Life is not always, pretty. We got to go through these lows to bring out the best of you, and you start to find out who you really are.
You do find out who you are, and if you're even cut forward.
Right.
And so let's just say somebody's watching and they say, oh, I don't think I'm cut out for it.
You are cut out. You are your own. This is your life. You've had people who are there for you, but this is your life. Like, I look back, like when we talk about when I started in junior high. That's when it started for me.
Yes.
I didn't know how it was. I was 14 years old. How did I get the idea of putting a band together?
Yes.
Produce a show together, go up on stage for the very first time, and then all my other friends who were like, pretty sure we would rehearse at the house.
Right.
My dad, I tell you a story. There was one time my dad was, we would be rehearsing at the garage, and then my dad was like so into it that he he brought a fire extinguisher, and I was like smoke.
Like this is a fire extinguisher.
Oh yeah, it was like it was all white. My dad was like, shh. I was like, Dad, what are you doing? Oh, that's smoke. It's smoke. Everything was white. I just remember that, and I just look back and like, you know what? I used to entertain my mom. My parents would leave the house, and I would play my records, and I would put a show for my mom, my brother and sister.
Oh.
I would get the broom and put on a show for them, and that's who I am. And now I'm still the same. I'm just now the older version of Freddie, and now I just produce these shows, and I'm able to keep doing what I've always been doing. Yeah, I've had jobs here and there, odd jobs sometimes, but I've been very blessed with the journey that I've had to work for 3 major labels. I mean, I worked with Ricky Martin, Shakira back in the day, and I mean, just being there,
Yes.
you know, and now I've met a lot of my heroes too. I mean, I met Depeche Mode. I met,
That was going to be one of my
yes,
questions. How was that?
that was
Did,
crazy.
now, who exactly did you meet? If you
I
don't.
met Martin Gore first
Okay.
because Martin Gore lives in Santa Barbara.
Barbara, yeah.
And
And people do see him around there.
yeah,
So,
he's
yeah.
like very, you know, very just. Martin is very like very approachable. He's very humble. Very humble soul.
People that I've heard that met him, they say that he's very shy.
Yeah, he's very like an
Very
introvert.
shy.
He's like,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, why are you outside then, Martin? If you're
Right,
so
right.
shy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I got to meet him, and he was doing a holiday event to raise money for a charity of his liking for kids for school for instruments and all that. And he would DJ, so you would pay $100, and it wasn't like 1,000. It was just a few, like
a couple of-
200,
yeah.
300 at a venue out in Santa Barbara.
And that's the one thing, sorry to interrupt you, that's the one thing that I think sometimes Depeche Mode forgets that they're famous, because when the interviews that I've seen or the things that I've seen, they always act surprised. Like, oh, you know that? Oh, yes, I did that. We're like, yeah,
Yeah.
you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you go to these concerts and they're selling out, what do you think, you know? But
Let's look at the ticket prices for this tour.
I don't want to address that, because that's gonna bring out another person. I don't want to.
But no, going back to like meeting Martin for the first time, and it was awesome because I was there and I met Kessler. It was like, it was just meant to happen. When you're there, things happen. And I was wearing my leather jacket and I saw Martin. I was like, oh my God, he's just like, he's right here. And then there was an opportunity where he looked at me, I looked at him, and I said, he was drinking. Well, he wasn't drinking at the time. I think
He quit.
He quit.
He
drinking.
quit. Yeah.
And I was like, Martin, I didn't come out like I didn't want to scare him. Like I was
Yes.
starstruck because it's like, this is my hero, you know.
Yes.
And he was there and like, I just had a conversation. He was like, hey, Martin, nice to meet you. This is awesome, you know. And so there was a photographer and he kept snapping pictures. So I have pictures from this side, pictures on that side, my first pictures with Martin Gore. And you look like I've known Martin for years, having a conversation with him. And then after that, I met him when he would do the Santa Barbara gigs. I met him a second time and a third time. The last time I saw Martin was at the NAMM convention, which is a convention that happens in Anaheim, which is all the music companies, keyboards, DJ stuff. So there was a company that does keyboards. Of course, the Depeche Mode use these, the Moog. And I happened to be
Because
there.
he has a whole
totally.
collection,
Yeah, he's
right?
got a room
He's got his own.
of-
Yeah.
He ended up like people were like, I just got an email from like Martin Gore who wants to buy my equipment. Because it's like, it's like those are like antiques now.
Yeah, and he wants to collect.
Yeah,
I think he
does.
got rid of some of
And
his
he
stuff.
did.
And
There's an interview. He's like, yeah, I'm just a collection freak. I go online and I go to eBay or whatever, and I'm buying stuff. And
Yeah.
he's got a wall of stuff. And so he's a collector of keyboards and synthesizer and modules and stuff. So I remember being there at the Moog station, and I'm looking at this presentation of a new synthesizer, and then I kind of looked to my left, and Martin Gore's right next to me. Right next to me. And I'm just like, I looked and I looked to my friend, I go, dude, Martin Gore's right here. And he's like, and then he was there with his tech guy, and I remember his assistant. He's the one who would set up Martin's DJ stuff.
Okay.
So he looked at me and he was like, he kind of recognized because he saw videos of me doing the tribute.
right.
Like,
And he mentioned that.
Yeah, and then he was like, hey, and then I looked at Martin, and I looked at me, and he was like, hey, you're that guy from the tribute. And I was like, yeah, Martin, hey, like, good to see you. It was like, and then we were just there. I was like, oh my God, this is nuts.
Yeah.
And we're both just enjoying that moment together. And then everybody started like, hey, there's Martin Gore. So he was like, people started coming.
Yeah.
And then we had just a good conversation. We talked about, I asked him, hey, what console are you using for DJing? Oh, I use Traktor. I was like, oh, that's what I use too. And then he asked me, he just was like, so how do you feel about using Traktor? I was like, oh, it's awesome. It's like, I use Beatport, and then I import out stuff. So we're talking about tech stuff.
Yeah.
Like Martin Gore, And then after we saw the showcase of this new module that Moog was promoting, and then I just said, Martin, do you mind if I take a picture with you?
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did. I was like, I have
Courage,
to.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, oh, here's now. Yeah, sure. And I kind of lifted my cell phone, and then I took the snapshot, and that was it. So I was like, this is gonna be great, people now fun, So I posted it up on right away, and I said goodbye and all that, and then there was a magazine, a British magazine called The Mirror.
Okay. Well, I've heard of the
You
Mirror.
heard they've
Yes.
been around they're like a tabloid
It
newspaper.
seems like
I
it,
think it
yeah.
is. So a week after that, or maybe a few days after that, my friend goes, "Hey, Freddie, you were featured on The Mirror." What? And it said tribute band singer meets his, hero Martin Gore. And I can send you it's still there. I'll send
Yes.
it to you.
Okay.
And it says like, wow, it's amazing how the tribute singer met his
Yeah.
hero. And so there's a picture of me and and that was like just those moments where, and then after that I've met Martin a few times. I met Kessler, so that was meeting Martin. Andy Fletcher, I met him, rest his,
Yes. We
we
miss you,
lost him
Andy.
last year,
Yes.
and I got to meet him at a Jimmy Kimmel show
Okay.
because I would go, how when they would do,
You were in the
yeah, I
audience?
was in the audience and well, backstage, and then Fletch would just come out, and he's a smoker. He was just hanging out. Big, tall. He was tall.
He looks tall.
Yeah, he's a tall guy. And hey, Fletch, what's up? And he saw my tattoo because I have the tattoo, the cross.
I was going to ask you to disrobe, but I said no.
And so,
Because we know that Dave also
yeah,
is
come to the
very
show.
talented.
You'll see
Yeah,
my-
you'll see it.
And those are kind of like my medals. I did that first one, in my 40s. I was like, I think, So I met Fletch, and he also was like, oh, you're from that tribute band. I was like, wow, yeah, it's cool. I didn't get a picture with him because he's very like, I don't want to take pictures. Like, okay, it's cool, cool. And then I get to meet my hero, he's no longer in Depeche Mode, but Alan Wilder.
Oh, really? What was
Yes.
that? Did he ever come to the States?
No, he didn't, but he was promoting his project called Recoil, and you can,
Right.
that's kind of like
That
his,
was a while ago.
yeah, his thing, and he did a tour. That was in maybe around 2012, around that time, and he did some shows internationally, and then he did some shows here in LA. He did one in West Hollywood at the El Rey Theater, and that's where I met him because he did a meet and greet.
Okay.
So I was like, I need to be there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it was awesome because, sometimes you meet and you're like, you just get a picture, you don't really get to talk.
Yes.
For me, it was different. I was like, hey, I go, Alan, man, so amazing that I got to meet you. I've learned so much from you. Like, I'm a producer too, and your sound design is just that. And then, he hugged me and we took a picture. I'll send that picture to you, to send it to you. And it's such a memorable, because I miss Alan in the band. We all do. Alan
So there's
Wilder.
a gulf. There's a split in amongst the devotees where you have those who are strictly the four, the four pair, and then you have others that are like myself that are just like allow Depeche Mode to evolve, allow them to create. Sometimes people come and they go and relationships, but there are forums where there's huge debates over when Depeche Mode was at its best, and they are never going to be better than when Alan was with them.
Yeah, I mean, Alan was the oldest
He was.
of the band, and very musically talented. I mean, well, Vince started, but then you can tell, the style of Vince Clarke.
Yes.
He evolved to Yaz, and
Yeah,
that's
and
just
Erasure,
the
yeah.
history. And Erasure, we need it. I mean,
We need it,
where would we
exactly.
be without Yaz
We
and
needed
Erasure?
Erasure, yes. We
And
needed
Bell.
Alison Moyet.
Yeah,
Yes.
Alison Moyet.
Yeah, we needed that.
And so that was that, and he even, Vince was like, oh, I want to do
He
my
left
thing.
so early.
Yeah, he did.
He was like, peace out. I'm going to write this
Yeah.
one song
And
that
then-
my son loves, and I'm going to, bye.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
then Alan came into the picture, and he was much more, they needed a really talented musician. He was the oldest one, but amazing. So if you were to hear the earlier stuff from Depeche Mode to when Alan came into the picture, to the last 93, 94, which was Songs of Faith and Devotion, which that was just like
Yeah.
an
That was a
amazing,
huge tour. I saw them
huge
twice.
tour.
Well, I've seen them twice.
A lot of, Dave was going through his heroin addiction era. I don't think that they really respected Alan's work during that time because he was always like just on it. They had trouble during that time where something erased and he'd go back in the studio and pump, and work hard. And I don't think that's the truth. I mean, if you read, Dave and Martin were partying and Fletch was, trying to maintain the band and and Alan was just tired of it already. So you can tell that he was just
Do you
like,
think that he would come back?
you know what? That's the kind of like the question that we've been asking all these years of like when they get together, and Dave just put the final nail to the coffin in one of his recent interviews, talking to the Memento Mori album, and they asked him, they're like, even the reporter was like, "Oh, should I ask this question?" And
Do it, do it, do
yeah,
it.
she
Yeah.
did. She did. She was like, "Dave, I have to ask you, do you see Alan Wilder coming back?" And you can see just Dave going, "Oh, are we going to talk about it?" He goes, "You know what? He's not interested. He will never come back. He's not going to come back." We're not.
Well, but he did say that when Fletch passed away that he did text him. So,
No, he did.
but so there's a relationship. It's just
There is, but it's. I can still tell there is this ego
Yeah.
thing between them.
yeah.
You know,
I'm pretty sure
there is
because they're
this-
all in separate.
Yeah.
They live in separate, but they can pull it together when it's time to pull it together.
And we thought, we're like thinking, well, Fletch passed. That gives an opportunity for Alan to come back and be a part of this new album.
Yeah.
And it just didn't go that way. This is the stars didn't line up for that.
I'm not ready to say that would never happen, because I think now, knowing that they are getting older, that, one of their dearest founder has gone, that they may, like, this album was already like in the making before Fletch,
Which was
went
surprised
home.
because they kept that secret. I mean, being a Depeche Mode fan, I mean,
Yeah.
there's people who are just digging in
Yeah.
and trying to get all these sources and information, but they kept that such a secret. I didn't know that they were actually already exchanging ideas during the COVID,
Yeah.
you know. And a lot of bands did. They were like, what are we going to do? And that's why when the market opened again, they had new albums,
Yeah.
new tours.
Because they were working.
Yeah, Duran Duran had 2 albums already during
And we're
that.
proud of Duran Duran for
Yeah,
coming
by
back
the
and
way.
for doing New Year's and all those things.
Yeah,
So,
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now, inducted, and the same thing with Depeche Mode. But unfortunately, with Depeche Mode, we didn't.
you know how I didn't have my flight booked, but I was on the wait list for getting tickets to that event when they were inducted,
Yes.
and then shut down. And I was like, no.
Yeah, now it's right because today at the Depeche Mode Global, our friends, which I did an interview earlier today, we talked about that we got, we got kind of just, it sucked that was a good opportunity because maybe we would have seen Vince.
Yeah, because he would be inducted too.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
Alan,
Wilder
yes, he would have
and
did
maybe
it.
he would have done something on stage, and that gave that opportunity to see it, but it just didn't happen.
It didn't happen, but it doesn't mean that. But what I wanted to say briefly about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame
Right.
is, because y'all dogged Depeche Mode for years.
Yes.
For not being a real band, but you had to succumb to, yes, they've had a huge imprint on the music industry, and so, you couldn't, the votes showed it.
Yeah. There's
So-
only one Depeche Mode. Like there's
Yes.
one Erasure.
Yes.
There's one Duran Duran.
And how many people are sampling them now? That
I mean,
before,
listen to today's music.
Yes.
It's all been resampled, remixed, and it's just, today's music is just a sample of the 80s and 90s.
what was there?
What was there?
So my kids and I, we have this debate, and we debate. First of all, we think that Martin is probably the smartest lyricist, and he's definitely in our top 5. So along with Stevie Wonder, along with Prince, along with some other that are lyricists, and we always talk about the intelligence of his lyrics. Can you touch on that just a little bit about when you're performing and you're doing these songs, and then you're singing, and how Dave brings something different? Because you hear the demos of Martin performing some of
Yes.
these songs, right, when he has to present them, and then Dave comes in and he just makes it a completely different.
Well, that's the formula of bands like that. I think, Martin goes and he writes, and then he's like, well, I'm going to write it like, well, if it's a Martin song, then he writes it as a Martin song.
Gotcha.
Because he's got his own. But then he writes it too, like, well, I kind of hear Dave singing. There's a formula there.
Okay.
Um,
That's one thing I was never sure. Like, does he always have the idea that Dave's going to sing this song? Or is he like, no, there's my song and then there's his song. And then Dave is writing now too. But
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
thinking about the classics.
Yeah, I think, well, the classic is all Martin. You know, all the, you know, you're talking about like.
Right, but the writing of
That's what
it,
I'm
it's
saying.
like
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, so I mean, Dave's writing compared to Martin's totally different.
it is. But when you're thinking, I can't get into their minds. But when he's thinking, of course, when Dave is writing, he's writing for himself.
Right.
But Martin knew that Dave was going to be singing the majority of these songs. So I always wondered while he's writing these songs, because a lot of people felt that Songs of Faith and Devotion was completely about Dave's life, you know? And so they thought, and Martin, he's also said that he never really likes to talk about his lyrics because he
Right.
wants everybody to have their own experience
Yeah,
with the
I
lyrics.
think as a songwriter, it's anyone can, like I said, it's I write the song and you can interpret it how it makes you feel.
Yes.
And I think that's how Dave Gahan, when he comes and works with Martin Gore and goes in the studio, and then he puts his Dave Gahan signature of his baritone and the way he's going to give life to a Martin song.
Gotcha.
You know, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this. And there's interviews with Dave where he talks about that, where he's like, well, you know, I wait for, you know, I love, you know, he does appreciate Martin's writing. So he needs like, okay, now I need to step it up.
Yes.
You know, like his favorite song, and to this day, is Condemnation.
You know, it's so funny. That's not one of my favorite songs, and my oldest daughter loves that song to no end because I always feel like Dave is screaming, like he's literally like, "This is my heart." Like he just broke up with his woman, just dumped him,
Yeah.
and he's before the Lord. He's in the room by himself,
Yes.
and he's just screaming like it, but he was just crying. That's how I always feel about that
Right.
song.
And I've actually I've sung that song, and I have to be in the mode to bring that, to give that,
Yes.
you know, to because even it's even hard to Dave nowadays to even sing those songs that he used to. I mean,
Because of the, you know, the cancer and things like that that he's had.
So you know, and sometimes like Martin would step in. It's like, well, I'm gonna, like Martin would do Strange Love in acoustic.
Yes.
Peter Gordino.
I've never heard him do.
Strange love, strange highs and strange lows, and it's Peter Gordino just playing the acoustic, you know, and then he did also Condemnation.
Okay.
And then on I think on the Delta, Only When I Lose Myself. I love that song. And to this day, I have that. I just like finished it. And I haven't been able to present it. I love that song.
I can do either or Martin or Dave on that
Right.
song. Yes.
So he ended up, Martin ended up singing. I'm like, why isn't Dave singing it? You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, I know Martin singing, but I would rather hear Dave, you know, especially that one, Only When I Lose Myself.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's so many songs that I'm still, after 13 years, haven't touched, and I said, okay, I'm gonna do Only When I Lose Myself. No disco.
Yes. Oh, which, you know, has gotten lost somewhere.
Totally.
Except unless you go to a Depeche Mode party here in LA, we would love to have them all over the world. We don't know what France and Germany is doing, but then you'll hear those types of songs.
Hear, you know, The Sun and the Rainfall.
Right. And you know what song that we don't do, the DJs don't do very often, that I love, that I rediscovered? It's Tora, Tora, Tora.
That's going to be coming up on the Devotional. That's such like, you listen to
Yes.
dum, dum, dum,
I love that song.
and you know what? You listen, even like, it was so political back then.
It was.
Because there was a lot of things happening in the 80s that as a kid you didn't know, you know, now as you get older, like, wow, there's some hardcore.
But they were kids.
Yeah, but they're talking about war, they're talking about corporate America, they're talking about greed, you know, like everything counts. To this day,
Yes.
and that's I do a version of it's the Violator version of Everything Counts, and I love it. It's a fun song to do, and it's a song that today it talks about what's happening today. Everything counts in large amount, greed, corporate greed, and you know, it's these songs are just, there's no end to them. Like there's no like, that doesn't like sound like what's going on today. I mean, these songs just live on still.
Yes. Yeah, thinking about the political, like the one song that I still love is Princess Di is Wearing a New Dress.
Yes.
And they never see, which I get because they're trying to be respectful.
Yeah.
But I'm like, the Queen, we love the Queen, but she's no longer with us. So you guys, it's okay to sing it.
Yeah, I've actually covered that. I did that song, and it's like, wow, to perform those songs.
Yes.
Like, wow, the power and the message behind it.
Yes.
Plus the instrumentation that I mean, there's just that's why I'm bringing a lot of that Torah, just the earlier stuff, and I'm having so much fun now because, like I'm saying, I'm revamping. Like, I just don't want devotional to be the same thing, it's the same songs. Of course, I love Enjoy the Silence, Personal with Jesus, Never Let Me Down. You got to have those in there. World in My Eyes, The Policy of Truth, Black Celebration, and then the ultra stuff.
Right.
I love It's No Good. And
I do too.
Useless.
But I don't think you've done home either.
No.
Yeah.
And I think Brian, that's very challenging. Like Brian, he does his favorite Martin Gore ones, and I already told him that, hey, it's time for you to do home. It's
Yeah.
like, home. It's time, bro. It's time.
Yeah.
You got to do it. You got to bring it.
Because that song, I think that's a healing song too. And I think that's why the devotees, like Depeche Mode, a lot of devotees say that they've written a soundtrack of my life. They literally say they've written a soundtrack of my life. And so thinking about the different things that have occurred in our own lives and how these songs got us through, I can even tell you the songs that got me through some tough times that I revisited, And we all have our happy songs, the songs that we just rock out to in the shower, in the car, and, that nobody, my ringtone is Strange Love, I use that on my dating app.
Right. That's actually nice. I was like, by the way, there's some strange love out there, and I've experienced that myself.
And so you guys who know the lyrics to that song, you'd be like, that's a weird song.
Strange love.
Yeah.
And
my favorite is Because I Like to Practice What I Preach.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the ones that I've enjoyed, it's Strange Love, in which Depeche Mode don't play. And the only time they played that song was, I think, during the Sounds of the Universe tour.
Which, yes.
And they didn't play it in the States. They did it in the UK tour.
Oh, did they?
Yes, because I'm like...
They do that. They do different things over there than they do over here. I don't think that's fair.
I know, it wasn't fair. And the only time I got to really like, wow, there's a YouTube you can find. There's like, you can punch in Depeche Mode, Strange Love, Sounds of the Universe. And there's like, not even professionally like...
Yeah, they're an audience.
It's an audience, and you're like, it's like from a camera or something, but that was the only time I was able to hear that live, Strange Love. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I hope that this tour, which,
but they can't do 4-hour shows. They would be literally doing this show all night because they've had, their discography is like, it's huge.
And they talk about that, and now it's just 2 members because now it's just Martin and Dave making the decision, and you got Peter Gordino and Christian Einer.
That's been with them for a long time, and we appreciate them.
Yeah.
We appreciate the fact that they've never tried to push themselves on being, we're Depeche Mode too. We appreciate you.
Long relationship. Peter Gordino has been with Martin. Remember when Martin did a few shows, like he did some cover.
I did not know that. I don't remember.
He did a show at the Mayan.
Oh.
And God, Martin's hair was crazy during that time, and he did. It was Peter Gordino up there with his other stage tech guys, and then so it's like, they've evolved to the point where, I've actually have done 3-hour shows. It's a long show to make, and I do it because it's like, wow, wouldn't we love to have Depeche Mode do 3 hours of
well, they're pretty close to that, but are you doing 3-hour shows because there's so much material to cover? Because you're thinking about the fans, you're thinking about your fans, you're thinking about the audience, and there's a lot of material to cover.
Yeah, because I mean, my favorite ones.
And everybody always walks away with, they didn't do this song.
Right. I don't want them to walk like that.
Okay.
It's like whatever Depeche Mode doesn't do, Devotional will do.
Okay, perfect.
So that's kind of my foundation of like, wait until when this tour launches. And that's when Dave says, like, yeah, we're always in the studio. We're always like, Andrew Fletcher's rest of soul. His favorite one was always World in My Eyes. So that was always
going to be there.
That was his.
He enjoyed that.
I need to have that one on the set list. But who knows this on this tour now that with Fletch gone, now it's just Martin and Dave, and what they're going to give us.
That is going to be interesting. We all have our ideas of what we would like to see. We would all, of course, like a tribute to Fletch. We don't know if his family, if his wife, if they're participating in that in any way. We would hope so,
and just recently, I mean, after Fletch's mom passed away.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, she passed away last month. Yeah, in December.
my
Can you
gosh.
believe that? Yeah, there was Andrew Fletcher's wife announced it on her Instagram. She was like, "It's sad to you know, to give this notice, but Fletcher's mom died, you know, and so now Fletcher's parents are gone." I remember Fletch was on tour when his father passed, and there's an interview you can find it on
Oh
YouTube.
yeah, I remember that.
Yes,
Yes.
and I was like, and I remember I was like, wow, I'm
Yeah.
glad that of course, I've been there when,
Yes.
but imagine being on tour and you couldn't be there. So it hit Fletch. You know, he knew he had to go on stage, sold out tour, concert, and then he had time to like mourn his father's passing. So, but yeah, now the Fletch, they're all gone now. It's like now it's just his wife and Fletch's kids.
This is why it's important for you guys out there to, if there is a band out there and you, let's say you've seen them before, but you hadn't seen them in years, if they're still touring out there, it's worth paying the money. Pay the money and go ahead and see them whenever possible, because we're losing the greats. We're
I
losing
mean, look,
them.
we just lost Lisa Marie Presley.
Yeah.
She was at an awards show, the Golden Globes Awards, and you know, she was there with the actor who did the Elvis, and who would have known she would have a few days
And she
gone.
was a baby, 54,
Yeah,
you know?
54. We're losing our 50s. Or like you never know when. That's why, like you said, I strongly suggest for fans out there, don't wait, make it
Yes.
happen, because you never know. I mean, life is too short. You know, I'm like I said, I'm grateful to be here with you to share. You know, I
Grateful to
really
have you.
thank you for having me here. The cameraman, you got a woman who's taking care of this interview.
Peggy, yes.
Peggy, you know, I appreciate that, you know, you've reached out to me to give you this interview. And this is probably the interview that I've always wanted to have, but now I have it with experience,
Yes.
you know, to be able to really just express myself and how this journey of 13 years doing Depeche Mode
And
has
it's not
meant to me.
over.
And it's not over. It's continuing. It's continuing in a different chapter in my life now.
Okay.
Like this year, well, last year I started a new chapter, and now this year's a new chapter with my loved ones gone, but I'm still here, and I know
Yes.
my mom and dad and my grandmother and my would want me to still continue what I'm doing. And like I said, I'm a different person now. I don't have any regrets.
Okay, that's very good,
No
because a lot of
regrets.
us do.
Yeah, so you know, go out and visit who your loved ones, and you know, reach out to them more than ever now. We're living in a different time where social media has just become, I don't know, I think we reached the peak to where now something something needs to happen to bring people together.
Yes,
And I think
desperately.
in order for that to happen is people to hear these stories. You know, it's not
And to
just,
hear the music.
yeah, and to hear the music and to unite each other that way, because that's the only way we're going to learn from each other,
Yes.
you know.
And when you were talking earlier about, because I've seen you at the conventions, I think the first time, my first convention, you were with Strangelove.
Yes.
And I enjoyed it, right? I really, really enjoyed it. And then the more I saw you, it was like you were it for me, because I've seen other bands and I
you.
see how it's the little things.
Yeah.
It's the little things. And you're giving that experience to the audience. And while we're waiting for the next album or the next tour of Depeche Mode, there is still something with the fans that want to have that experience. And then because there's so many male devotees, there's so many guys. When we're at the convention, you guys, they have karaoke
Yeah.
up in the balcony in LA. And there's a sign up that you have to get on in order to do the karaoke, because the karaoke is only for like maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes, which is, they're robbing us. But anyway, guys would jump on that. Like you can't get it. You see all these guy names like before, and then you may see a girl in there and she may do it like Susie and the Banshees. I don't know how they let that sneak in, but you know, but then the guys go and they're singing like they know they're good and they're not, but they're just singing their favorite song because
Yeah.
they've always wanted to sing it, and they
Yeah.
just like, and it's their way of saying how much they love Depeche Mode. And so
Yeah.
as we have these, I would like to see more conventions around the world. So you say you had an interview with Depeche Mode Global. Are they also
Yeah.
doing conventions in
No,
other
well,
places?
it's by Rob, who is like a big time. he's actually, it's funny because he told me he's writing a book. This guy's been to every Depeche Mode convention, I mean, to every Depeche Mode concert since day one. He's a
Where is he located, if
concertor.
you
He's
don't?
in Anaheim.
Okay, okay.
And it's
LA?
Depeche Mode. On Facebook, you can find it, Depeche Mode Global. It's a community.
I think
And
I belong to every
yeah,
single
yeah.
Facebook Depeche
Right, right.
Mode.
Yeah, so
I follow everybody.
and he's great. He's always been very supportive of all tribute bands, and,
Mm-hmm.
and he's there's always one from like different. There's so many groups
Mm-hmm.
around the world, and this one's like our group here in the United States,
Okay.
where it reaches. I mean, we had today we had our first. It's called Chat and Drink.
Okay.
And then what we do is like we either say something in order for us to drink. Like today was rain. So if anyone were talking and we hear the word rain, we would have a drink. I don't drink. I was having my coffee.
Right.
So it's fun. It was like he makes it interesting, and then I was able to talk about Depeche Mode, just Depeche Mode related, about what we're looking forward to about this new tour, the album, and then the after party that I'm having on March 30th in Vegas. So if you're in Vegas,
Okay.
if you want something to do after the T-Mobile concert, you can come down to the Fremont Country Club and watch Devotion. I'm gonna do a midnight show,
Okay.
and with DJ Jose Shuton spinning. So that's like the after party for
You
Vegas.
guys all heard it. Vegas, March 30th.
Yes, and so it's nice to have that group and being a part of it. It's this experience. It's not just being a tribute; it's a community.
It is a community. Some people even say it's a religion. How do you
Yeah.
feel about that when people call the fans a religion?
For me, it's
Because
I
we're
understand-
not worshiping.
Yeah,
we
we're
may
not-
use the music to worship, but it's not.
exactly. But for me, it's a unity of like where we can express ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Where else is a great community to share your ideas with other Depeche Mode fans from
Yeah.
around the world. So yes, I'm
Around.
gonna say it's a religion for me. It's a big fan base of fans where I can promote what I'm doing too as a Depeche Mode fan. So yeah, it's just been amazing that we're getting ready for this new album for Depeche Mode, and we're excited. We're very excited. Rob's going to be going to. He says he's going to the LA, and he's going to Germany.
Oh, I heard that that's a different monster. Like France and Germany,
Yes.
like their fans are.
Yeah, they call it the Black Swarm
Right.
because everybody's just wearing black.
Yes.
And it's like.
But that's how you kind of feel when you're in LA
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Like you
yeah,
know
but-
that there's a cure,
Exactly.
or what do they call it? The Trinity is the
Right,
Cure,
I-
the
my parents,
Smiths,
"Are you
and
guys-
Depeche
Are
Mode.
you guys going to a funeral? No, we're going to a concert. It's like, where's the no color?
It's so funny. When I was a kid and I was in my punk stage, and you had to go to, like you said, certain shops, or you would go to thrift stores to get
Right.
your clothes.
Yeah.
And so my dad gave me money to go school shopping. And he's giving me the money, and he goes, "Now don't you dare buy one thing that's black." And I was like, then I was thinking, "You're not serious." He was like, "I'm serious. Do not buy another black article of clothing." And I kept thinking, what the heck am I going to get then?
Right? It's funny because I look at my wardrobe. I was like it's black, but I have this. There's something. There's
Well,
gotta be
this is
something-
why I had to, like, from that experience, I had to, like, switch it up.
Right.
Yes.
So I can't wear bright colors. I for some reason it's just like I always fall into the black.
Yeah.
And I look lately, like now that I started this new clothing line that I've been wanting to do, and now I'm switching it around. I was like, oh, okay, I can wear this color and browns and the reds and the these other colors now mixed in to my just everyday clothing now. So,
Okay. But you always default to black.
yes, it's always like when I opened my aunt was like, Freddie, you just got black. We need to add some greens, some blues. I'm like, all right, why don't you come and help me, because I'm just stuck with black. And she does. Now she comes with me and helps me with
So
the business.
just briefly tell us about this clothing line. This is the first time I've heard of it.
Yeah.
So the fans can go ahead and they can look at this.
After I experienced the passing of my mother, I just wanted to keep myself busy. And I remember my mom saying, well, Freddie, when did you do your own, like, wearing apparel? You're so fashionable. And I was like, you know what? I told my aunt, let's start a business. Let's just do something.
Yeah.
And it's a pop-up store. I do it at the Santa Fe Springs swap meet, which is good because they have tribute bands Fridays and Saturdays
Okay.
there. And check it out at Santa Fe Swap Meet online. And they have, I've performed there too. Like they book Devotional there. So Yeah, so it's a pop-up store and it's stuff that I like, it's stuff like this, wearing fashionable stuff for guys.
Gotcha.
It's
Yes.
not just the Raider shirt and you know
I
the
know.
baseball caps and it's
The
like
Mets or who's
it's
it? No,
funny
no,
because the wives
Dodgers. That's what it is.
the wife comes like, this is a good shirt. Can you just switch it up? You're always going to a family reunion with your Raider shirt. Why don't you
Yeah.
guys wear a nice polo shirt or something? So I'm bringing that to the table. It's Moral Wear LA. I call it Moral Wear
Moral
LA,
Wear.
Los Angeles, and it's been fun. I've been meeting designers and kind of creating my own little. And also now I'm starting like the stage stuff, like the stage attire stuff. So I'm learning how to get into the whole fashion industry and all that.
I have a request.
Yes.
If you can incorporate accessories, because I'm always looking for Depeche Mode, and I have a.
Yes.
I would like to show everybody this. I have
Oh,
I had these
yeah.
made by a
Wow.
friend of mine. So she made these for
That's
me.
beautiful.
This is a rose with a
Yes.
DM at the end, and
There's
so.
actually a designer. She's from Israel, and that's what she does. I'll send her your link.
Okay, good.
And that's what she does. She has, accessories of Depeche Mode. Bracelets.
Yes, I
Beautiful necklaces that have like the devotional. Because Depeche Mode has a lot of artsy stuff. Like
Yes.
their logos from like all the albums.
And wherever I'm going, for me, because I just like to have them near me when I'm going someplace important or I'm doing something important. But sometimes it's a fancy occasion, so I don't
Yeah.
really have. So if I had a little something,
Yeah, yeah, definitely put it. That's another.
Right now I'm trying to find somebody that could design like the Depeche Mode nails or whatever. So
Some entrepreneurs out there, there's a market for that.
yes.
But yeah, I'm enjoying that. So now I have that business that I started with my aunt, and then I have now Devotional, and that's the best of both worlds right now for me.
So tell us about your vision for the future. So what's next for Freddie Morales? What's next for Devotional? What are you and the guys saying?
Producing the best show that I
Okay.
now.
How long do you see yourself doing?
I don't know.
A tribute.
Until my body
Okay.
gives out.
Okay. Yes.
I mean, like I took that break, and it's become part of my life.
But the one thing is that I'm glad you know where that ends and where Freddie begins. You have still a life. If that were to, yeah.
This year, that's my new journey right now. I don't know how long I can do this, but I know that, like, I live the day. I wake up and I live the day. Yeah, I can plan for the future and all that. I can see how long, and like I said, I'm in a different chapter in my life where, and thanks to all of you who were there for me and saw the value or what I bring into the table to bring this to life, and that keeps me going. You guys have kept me going. I'm like, you know what? Okay, because you fall into a point where you get lost, and you're like, because I was getting a little tired last year, before my mom got tired, and I told her, I think, Mom, I've had a good run, because COVID changed a lot of things.
It did.
I mean, especially traveling with the airlines. I mean, I've had to the point where I had a sold out show, and then, oh, we don't have any pilots, and I'm like, well, I need to get to my venue, so now what?
Create a pilot, make one.
Yeah, I don't have the money to have a
Private
jet, like Depeche Mode.
Not yet. Not yet.
Or a sponsor out there with the private jet, that'd be good. But I was just getting tired, and the traveling is just, it's very,
It can be taxing.
it's just because when that kind of falls apart, it's kind of just, you're like, you lose the momentum because now you can't fulfill those contracts, or things happen. So now I have to be very careful. Now I tell the promoter, okay, if you want the show dates there, I need to arrive a day before just in case something happens.
Absolutely.
And that's a must now in my contract.
Yes.
Because I don't want to lose an opportunity and I have the fans just waiting. And so now it's like, nope, you got to fly us. Find it in the budget.
Yeah.
I got to get there a day before.
And hotel, everything.
Yeah, hotel, and make sure that I get there safe with my band members. And safety is, I look out for the safety of my band members and for us too, because things happen, when you're traveling, you're touring, and sometimes, people drop the ball. And I've been able to just like, no, this is what needs to be done, or if you want us, that needs to be on the contract, and that's it, or there's no show.
So you have this project, and your schedule is filling up for 2023, but you also have had like some DJ stuff and some other music. So tell us
Yeah,
what
I haven't there now that because I was doing everything. I would DJ and I would have hey, if we have Freddie Morales from Devotional DJing, and I might just getting now just back. I'm coming back to the scene slowly, like I just didn't want to just go straight at it. Like first thing was okay, let's bring Devotional back on stage. Let me just focus on that.
Okay.
I can worry about DJing later on and get some dates for that.
Okay.
That's not important to me right now. What's important is to bring the band back and get us going. And now that I've been blessed with having a calendar and it's still building. I mean, I have summer booked and I've had some inquiries about already that December of 2023. I'm like, wow, But and now I'm like, okay, and I think I can do some appearances doing DJ. I love DJing too. So and it's good because then, I have my favorite places like the Offbeat. I don't know if you know, but it's
Yes.
it's up there in LA. Great venue, and I know the owners there. I like DJing there. I DJ with DJ Jose Schutten there and Robert Risque, and they bring a good vibe there. It's always nice to kind of be there for that community, the dance community, the dance culture, man.
Yes.
But I'm taking it day by day. Like, I'll probably get back and doing that.
That's wonderful that you can trust like that, because a lot of us, we feel like we have to know, we have to know, and not just sitting, relaxing, and trusting, that you're gonna be okay.
Yeah, and I just adopted a cat.
Really?
Yeah,
You're a cat guy.
yes, I
Do
was a
tell.
dog. I lost my dog. I lost Sammy, who was an Australian Shepherd, beautiful dog. He lived to be 19.
Ooh.
He was he's a
Again?
beautiful dog, and when I lost him during the pandemic, I was like, well, that's the last of my dog. And then my ex-girlfriend at the time ended up getting Sphinx cats.
Oh, that's very posh.
Yeah, yeah. So beautiful cats. Right? So that's why I was like, wow, I like cats. Cats are cool, And then when we separated, I ended up, moving out and got my own place. And I would come home and I was like, I miss having a pet.
Somebody.
It's just me, somebody, right?
Yes.
So a friend of mine, thanks to my friend on Facebook, he posted this beautiful picture of a cat, black and white, like my Sammy.
Okay.
The Oreo cookie looking, and but it was a cat version.
Oh.
And he was like, pretty, this cat, she's just had kittens and the family they don't want her anymore, and
Wow.
and I was like, really? And she sent me a picture. I just fell in love with her. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go and check her out and see, and it's been a blessing.
So how is your relationship? What's the name?
Sophia.
Sophia. Oh,
Sophia Loren. She's classy. She's just. It was meant to happen, and
Yes.
I'm enjoying her. Very cute. She's just like, it's helped me too in my grieving. She, when I pray, she gets to with me.
Yes.
And she it's just amazing. So I love both, like dogs and cats. I love all.
Yeah.
I also had ferrets at one time.
It's funny. Someone else also mentioned to me that they had a pet ferret. I don't
Yes.
get it.
They're like dogs.
No, they're not. They're like rats.
No, they're not. They're not. I mean, thanks to my ex-girlfriend, she had ferrets, and I was like, "What is that?" She had two of
Yes.
them. She had one that was all white, and then another one that was mixed, and the name was Flapjack, and Princess. What was her name? Princess something.
Well, is it from a cartoon? Because it sounds like it's from a cartoon.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Flapjack and I forgot the other one, but so I got to see ferrets, like their personalities, and at first I was like, what is going on here?
But apparently they're.
They were great with Sammy. They would
Okay.
just, they would play and very playful, just very
Oh,
playful
They
animals.
look like trouble. If you had two.
Well, you got it, Actually, you have to have two because then they both play together. It was sad.
So if you have one, what do they get depressed?
No, it's just maybe. Yeah, but actually, I see that when her name was Princess Pancake. That was her
Princess
name.
Pancake.
Yes.
Okay, Flapjack and Princess
Yes,
Pancake.
and,
Okay, I think it is from a show,
And
but
she
not
had
sure.
him for a long time, and then she ended up getting sick, and Princess Pancake passed away first,
Oh.
and then
I heard they
Flapjack-
don't live very long.
No, they don't. They're like 10 years. Well,
Oh,
yeah,
that's long.
That's long.
That is long.
Yeah. So and then I noticed that Flapjack missed her a lot, and he got sick because of loneliness.
Depressed, yeah.
Depressed. and we had to put him down too. But they get along. They got along with.
So thinking about Sophia, do you think that the way humans are, because now we're treating our pets like actual people. So I think that pets now are getting all types of ailments and diseases, just like human beings, that they didn't get when we were young. We did never hear your pet either ran away or got hit by a car.
Right.
So it wasn't like,
But you know what? All my pets, they never had that problem. Like Sammy lived a very healthy life.
Okay.
I've had healthy pets. You know, they never got sick. And of course, when they get old, they either catch something. I think because, I don't know if you let them outside, of course they catch something. But, you know, Sophia, she's an indoor cat. You know, I don't let her outside. You know,
Yes.
So I keep her inside.
My daughter has one cat, but there are 3 cats in her home. And these cats, it's just the weirdest thing. Like there's so much drama. Drama with these 3 cats.
Oh, wow.
So
No, I just have one.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine was like, don't you want to have another? I go, no.
Yes.
I know, but Sophia, it's funny because she knows she's the one. Like,
she's like.
And I've had her for now 2 months now. And she's like.
She's getting used to being with you. Yeah.
And when I'm working, she comes up to me. She hangs out here. The other morning, it was so sweet. She curled up to me. It was raining, and then she kind of gave me this love bite on my cheek, and she started licking, and it was like.
Or did you just taste good? Like, I'm hungry.
No, she was just like, just like.
Okay.
And I think pets know what you're going through, and they appreciate
I
that
completely agree.
you're taking care of them.
Well, you know what they say about the difference between cats and dogs, or at least that's what my son says. He said that, a dog looks at a human and go, wow, he's walking me, he's taking me out, he's doing all these things. He must be a god. And cats are like, wow, he's taking care of me, changing my litter. I must be a god.
Right.
So does she have that kind of thing where she's like, I'm a god, I'm going to pet my human right now?
I think for the lifestyle that I have now, now living, I don't have a partner with me now anymore. It's like, it's just, I don't even know how to explain it in words. It's like, she has her own, like, she doesn't have to be on me all the time.
Okay.
And I'm working and she's doing her thing and I buy her toys and she's playing. I hear her because she got a little bell and she's playing around. She knows how to, she's very independent.
Okay. And you like that?
I like that. Because I don't have to be, a dog, of course, okay, you make sure you're okay, buddy.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, buddy, it's like.
But you like the kiss. You
Yes.
like the kiss.
Yeah,
that
was like, and to me that night was like, she appreciated me taking care of her. Like, she's not like, she's just, I don't know.
She said, I see you.
Yes. I'm here for you, Daddy. Thank you. You're feeding me good food. Thank you.
Yes.
And then I'm rehearsing my Depeche Mode. She's just like listening to me and like singing now.
You see what Depeche Mode does to pets?
Exactly. So I'm definitely enjoying. That's been a present now. Like, it's just the joy of my life now to take care of a pet again. I've always had pets in my life. I had a dog when I was really young. So to have a pet again, I don't know, it just makes me feel human.
Again, what do you want to say to people who cannot afford a Depeche Mode ticket?
Go and see your favorite tribute band. Because that's what tribute bands are there for. We're there for... I know ticket sales have skyrocketed like crazy. It's not willing...
Do you have an opinion on why this particular show is so expensive?
The whole ticket agency has become really greedy. You have these ticket agencies you have all these other companies involved. You don't even know. You have like service charge of this, service charge of that. They're just like really taking advantage of the concert goer. And I think it needs to stop. And I think that now the government is figuring out like we're getting screwed here now. It's like, the outrageous ticket. I mean, of course, the artists would make money on their album sales and concerts.
The shows, yes.
But now it's totally different. Now it's like the main source of income is the concerts.
Yes, for them, yes.
Sometimes they release an album, they give it to you for free, but that's getting guaranteed they're going to come and see that show. So I think that's why but there's going to be a limit to the point where it's like, I mean...
$1,600 for a seat, come on. And as a true fan, you got to have a good seat. You can't be in the nosebleed.
No,
There's no way. Not for a chief. No.
Especially as generation now, we have money, we have that,
Yeah.
but we can't even afford to get the seats that we.
Yes,
Want
especially if
to
you're
get.
used to getting those seats.
Right,
You're used to
right.
paying $200, maybe $250, or even $400. Prepared. Let's say you want to be right there with when Dave walks out. You know.
Max for me. Somebody asked me today. They said, Freddie, how much would you spend? I was like, well, now as it's just me, maybe like $1,000.
Okay.
That's my limit.
Yes.
I have a business to run, and like I said, the pandemic. It's like people are still trying to get back on their feet.
Yes. Yes.
So. I think it's just outrageous. So that's why I'm saying if you can't afford to see the original band, go and support your tribute band. Go see Devotional. Go see Strangelove. Go see Forced to Mode. Go see these other bands that, they really put their heart and soul in giving you a show. And sometimes you'll be surprised. I'm not saying that sometimes these bands are like, oh, it's even better than watching the original band. It's like,
I don't know about that.
Some of them say that,
Yes.
but it all depends on the band. I mean, but like with Depeche Mode, like I didn't get any tickets for this tour because it's just
What? We're gonna have to change that. Do we know somebody? Do we know somebody who knows somebody?
I think I know somebody else who knows somebody, so eventually I will go
exactly.
to either the LA
or Las Vegas, someplace,
exactly.
right?
But
even if it's in Tokyo, we don't know.
Yeah,
if they're
exactly.
gonna be in Tokyo,
like for Vegas, I'm just focusing on this, making sure that this after party is well produced.
Because it's going to be packed.
Yeah. I mean, people are like today. It was great to people. Oh, we're gonna be there. It's something to do after the concert.
Because you got LA people, San Diego people.
And you got people flying in from other countries too.
Absolutely, and devotees that actually fly and follow.
Right. I mean,
Depeche Mode around.
There's several who, that's what they save for.
Yes.
To go on tour.
Sorry you didn't have Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I wanted the Depeche Mode ticket. And. But yeah, I mean, go support a tribute band. That's what we're there for, to provide when they're not touring, and we keep their music alive, and we keep it going for them and for the fans. And that's why I like being in a tribute band. We fulfill that need for a fan who wants to get their fix.
Yes.
It's like, I want to go and. Right.
Because now that we're a little bit more mature.
Right.
Yes, that we don't get out to the clubs and we don't do those types of things, but there are times when we do want to celebrate and we want to go out and we want to dance. And I know that I've experienced people who have, couples who have kids and then they're waiting for that one time where they can put on their black and their leather jacket and they can just go out and wave their hands.
And it's good, like the OC Fair. That's a great event, because then it's the parents with the kids.
Yes.
Because sometimes you can't bring the kids to.
Yes. Because you're out late. You're going to be out late.
Yeah. And, but now it's like, I get to experience that, and I get that. I love the fact when I play at these festivals where it's the parent and then their kids.
Yes.
This is the music we grew up with, and then they become fans.
Yes.
And then they get to learn about, their parents' favorite music. So. Yeah, go support your tribute band out there, and definitely go check us out, Devotional. And we're looking forward to next month. I take off on a 3-tour city tour out in Texas. I'll be hitting San Antonio February 10th, Houston the 11th, and then Austin on the 12th.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be such a treat for them.
Yeah, so that'll be great. And then in March, we'll be doing the Depeche Mode after party concert.
Right. So you're busy the end of January, February, and March. So, and then on and on and on.
Right. I'll be also at Yamava Rockin' Brews February 4th, which is like just a few weeks before.
Where is that?
That's at the San Manuel Casino out in San Bernardino.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been great venue there. Rockin' Brews. I guess it's Gene Simmons nightclub. Like
he owns that?
Yeah, he owns Kiss.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's several locations, and that's a great venue because it's great production, and you can experience it. I played there now several times, like 3 times a year.
Gotcha.
And so that would be my second show of the year, and then I head out to Texas, and to see you guys out in Texas. So.
Well, all right, Texas.
And the OC Fair. OC Fair next week. The tickets go on sale, so you guys will know that. And that'll be on July 14th, which is on a Friday. So. at the
right.
hangar. And I'm going to invite you to that.
Okay, yes, thank
You'll
you.
be there.
Yes.
For sure.
Do I need to shop at your clothing line before I go?
You know, I'll send you a link and you
Okay,
can tell me,
I
Freddie,
can-
I need this. And
I
make
will.
sure I'll make sure there's some accessories there for
Yes.
you too as well.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure if I tried to borrow some of your mother's accessories, that would be, yes. But what is the most underrated song that you have performed or have yet to perform by Depeche Mode?
wow.
Because I have made a list of I don't, have my phone with me, but I have a list of underrated songs that a lot of people miss. But what's one of the ones that you have performed or you have yet to have performed?
Well, like Only When I Lose Myself is
Yes.
one of them. I'm just adding now Precious.
Really?
Yes. And a lot of people like that song. Another song which I close the set with is But Not Tonight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one is, people love that song, and I'm so glad you played that song. I remember I met my wife when I dedicated that song to her. And
Yeah.
so that's always on there too. So I try to kind of I read what people would want us to play or would want Depeche Mode to play, and I kind of put together the set list on that. But yeah, songs they're so long, a lot of other songs that leave in silence.
Yeah, that's an old one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very dancey.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about the music to that. It's a lot of electronic music on that one, but okay.
It's very vocally too, very soft. Leave in silence. Another one too that I've actually have fun is Pleasure Little Treasure,
Oh,
which was played on the 101 tour.
okay.
Pleasure,
okay.
Little Treasure.
Yeah. I don't know why that song always sounds echoey to me.
It's very echoey. It's
Okay.
That song is very live. It's a live song. It's just the
Okay.
guitar riff, and I've always enjoyed that one. So I like playing that one. Pleasure, Little Treasure, Sacred. Sacred.
I love that. Yeah, and I don't think that they've really played that since that.
No, as a matter of fact, today there was a trivia because I was giving away tickets, and they only played that once on the 101 concert, Sacred.
And then they haven't played
And
it.
they haven't played it
Okay.
since.
Yeah.
So, what are the ones? I kind of do want to do "The Mercy in You" from Songs of Faith
You know
and
what?
Devotion.
When I was in college, I played that song out.
Really?
I would over and over. It's
Mercy in
something.
You?
Yes, it's something about the beginning.
The mercy
Yes,
in you,
I
yeah.
love that. To me, that's such a romantic love song. I mean, there's tons of romantic love
so,
songs, but yeah, it just at that time, I don't know what it was in college.
Wow.
Everybody in my dorm.
Yeah, because it has that hip hop.
Well, see, that's the thing that we didn't address, but a lot of people do know is when you're listening to Depeche Mode and a lot of bass. There's a
Yes.
lot of bass,
Oh, totally.
and people who love
The
like
sub bass. That's what you want. That's what I would like when I would go to a Depeche Mode convention. To a Depeche Mode concert. Because Depeche is bass.
Yes.
Sub bass. There's this hum.
Yes, and that's very attractive for somebody who's into hip hop, who's into R&B,
Yes.
They did a lot of that stuff, probably without even realizing that they were doing
Another
it.
song that I get chills when it's Higher Love. And that's always a good intro. I've only played that probably 4 times, and
Yes,
Higher Love, and also
because it's all about the beginning.
yes, there's an intro to that. It's
Yes,
just
and
very
which is part of the song. Like you could never disconnect that, and then Dave come in.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh,
Yeah.
yes, I can taste more than fear burning
Exactly.
inside, so real. Yes,
Exactly.
Yes.
And then the more rockier is I Feel You. It's just like,
That to me, it seems like Martin is having a lot of fun with his guitar.
Yeah.
On that one, like that's just a play song for him. Like he gets to switch guitars, and then now
Yeah.
it's like I feel you, and so now he
Exactly.
thinks he's elfish.
Yeah.
He thinks he's elfish during that time. Maybe
Yeah,
I don't
so
know.
I love our version that we play for Personal Jesus. It's that extended part because it really brings that. I like to build the songs where there's audience participation.
Yes.
Where it gives them a chance to also sing. Like on Personal Jesus, I'm like, you hear that echo, like,
Yes.
reach out and touch faith, and bam, and then everybody, all right, you guys sing it. Reach out and touch faith.
And it's the whole. I mean, I would feel that this kind of. I don't want to say drug, but it definitely is something when you're on stage and you're performing these songs, and the audience are right there with you, Freddie.
Oh,
They're right there with you.
the
So
best.
it's like you don't feel tired or anything at that point. It's just like
No.
they're carrying you.
It's like a marathon run for me.
Okay.
I'm starting, and I'm in the starting line, and I'm just like, all right, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready to. And that's what I like, because it keeps me up on my feet. I don't think I've ever done a show where, and I've been very blessed and very fortunate to where my health has been. I mean, I did end up getting COVID.
Okay.
I was like, when am I going to get COVID? Everybody's dying. Can I just, it's like, when am I going to get it? And then I did.
Let's get it over with. Let's come on.
and,
Come on.
and I ended up, for me, the experience with COVID wasn't the chest
lungs,
or the lungs and the breathing. There's a lot of fatigue and backache for me.
Okay.
The fatigue was just like, there's just no way. And I was in school. I was a track and field runner, and so I kind of just prepare myself to be all like you see Dave running around on stage and going from one left to another, and so I have to like keep my body
Yes.
to do that.
Yes.
That's my work.
And a lot of musicians have not.
Yeah, or I don't know. For me, it's just like those are my heroes of like performing on stage where you're just giving it your all.
Yeah.
I'll send you footage of like the amazing stage, like the LEDs, like when I did Mexico. I mean,
You do. I've watched your lights, and when I look at that, I'm thinking, how do you afford all of that?
It's part of our writer. Some of these venues now, they already have that LED.
Okay.
And I'm like, because people are like, wow,
Yeah.
your budget is like.
That's what I'm thinking that. I'm like, what is your...
I just got hired to do a corporate gig I'm going to Atlanta, Georgia for the first time, and a beautiful theater called the Tabernacle or something. So I checked out. It's like a 2,000 seater place, and they already have a built-in LED.
Okay. And what are you doing for them? You're just doing the lighting for them, or what are you going to do?
No, they already have the lights, so I pretty much just send them like, hey, I send them our set list.
Oh, so it's a devotional event.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So it's not just you; it's the whole devotional. Okay.
Yeah, so they're it's like it's like their annual company get together. They're like an airline. They're a company that provides parts for airlines internationally. So this is like something from like for their salespeople and all that they do.
Okay.
And last year they had a Van Halen tribute. And then that's what I'm saying. Sometimes they see the videos and like, we need a book.
Yeah.
Devotional. This is amazing. And I got this guy. The guy lives in Australia, and he was like, "Yeah, Freddie, I want our company. I talked to my boss, and we want to bring Depeche Mode. And your show looks amazing, and that isn't what you need. And all right, this is what I need. And right now we're still going back and forth, but that's going to be a great gig because it's like, and I'm bringing my DJ too. So I'm like, I want you guys to have a memorable night.
Yes. Yeah.
For everybody. So I like to work with, event coordinators, to bring us, to work with them to like, hey, what do you guys need? I can provide this. So
That's wonderful. But
Yeah.
that's the beauty of having the experience of working with those type of people before, where I sometimes think that bands, they really do need a manager. They need somebody else because they've only experienced music like hustling. They've only experienced
It's
hustling.
funny
And
about
so,
managers because I've had managers, but I end up firing them.
really, what's the number one reason?
They think they're the artists. Sorry, managers out there, but
Yeah.
you're not the art. You're there to help the band fulfill what they need to, for that contract. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just a very nitpicky, very detailed person.
Do you warn them before, like, hey, I'm very
Yeah,
particular?
and I try, and then they just drop the ball. They drop the ball sometimes, and then I get disappointed. I'm like, dude, yeah, it was a great gig, yeah, but here's this, and that, and I have to take care of that.
Got
When
you.
I'm hiring you for me not to take care of that. You told me you were, you're gonna fulfill this for me, and now I can't work with you. So yeah, I kind of just been that person. Well, I mean, I get an opportunity, but when they drop the ball, then that's it for me.
Gotcha.
I don't need that. I
Yeah.
have other 1,000 things on my table that I need to take care of to make sure, because once I sign a contract, that's it.
Yes.
And I like to build relationships with the promoters or the event coordinators, like, hey, we'd like to have you next year.
Yeah.
Great, and So that's the business side of it, where it's got to be 200%,
So are we going to see a YouTube channel or maybe a book on the life of a tribute band? Like to
You know
give
what?
people a perspective of when they're thinking about doing this, these are the things that you're going to want to think about.
I have been thinking about it, and I think now with 13 years under my belt of being in the worst situation to being in the best situation, I think I have the experience to teach people and to teach bands who want to be in the tribute to be the best tribute
Yeah.
in the market, in it's competitive marketing. It's you want to be the best.
Yeah.
So I think I want to be able to maybe I was thinking about writing a book about it because I have a lot of experiences with that.
Yeah.
So I think now as the years have gone by, now I have the experience to actually I know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Now
Yes.
I know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I've gone through my trials and I've gone through situations where I went to Mexico and there were a lot of issues that happened.
Okay.
That I had to deal with. The flights, the venue. Oh, we have this, and you're like, that's not the LAD I asked you. What happened? And then I have to work with what, because people are going to come in that door. They already bought tickets.
Yes.
And then after that, then I give them my report. I'm like, you know what? It wasn't satisfactory. So yeah, I was able to do the show and do that and pull it off. You're lucky I was able to pull it off.
Right, because that messes with you when you're trying to mentally prepare, but you got to deal with all these little minute things.
Right. It's like and it's like I think with any project in any business, in order to be successful, you just have to put the hammer down and say, no, that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to build that kind of like skin to where I have a smile on my face, like, oh yeah. By the way, you screwed up here. I'm sorry, bro. I love you as a person, but you sucked here, and I had to deal with this. And I just want you to know, we worked very hard.
Yeah.
And you just made it very difficult. So I do want to venture in that.
Okay.
Maybe a book or maybe a YouTube.
Yes.
And
Because it's knowledge. I'm all about knowledge. Going to YouTube University and having the knowledge, because there's so many things that I know when people think about musicians, they want to know the nitty gritty and the gossip of what's going on in their private lives. But there are those people who really just want to know how to navigate through it.
Dummies for tribute bands. Oh man!
But there's a lot of knowledge,
Right. No, there is a knowledge.
Yeah.
So now that I've had the experience, I'm like, you know what? I can package this together and teach other people. Now because I've been in the music industry.
Yes.
I mean, I was a production coordinator. I had to learn. It's such a cutthroat industry, man. If you don't fulfill, you get cut. You're like, hey, we like you, Freddie, but no,
You just can't be cute.
No, you can't. You got to really, defend what you believe in. I mean, I had art directors that were just sometimes really talented, but they were just punks,
You think they were just lazy about it? Like, kind of like,
Egos in this industry. I work with some amazing people, but their egos just ruin it. We're like, you know what, man? You need to tone down your ego.
Yeah.
We're all on the same page here. It's not about you. It's about us, a team.
Yes.
Without Devotional, for me to do what I need to, I work with a band.
Yes. You have to get along.
Exactly. Pay them well. Not just, oh, no, I pay them well. And
so when they have suggestions, how receptive are you of those suggestions?
I'm very receptive.
Yeah.
I listen because I want them to be happy. I've gone through situations where I've been in bands, and that's what ruins the band. We have a good product and good music, good stage, but then there's problems within the band, and you have to say, hey, I'm the lead singer. That's my role. You're this, that's your role. Everybody respects your role. Right. I'm not bigger than you. You're not bigger than me. Just because you work with Van Halen or doesn't give you like, oh, I need to get paid. No, this is what this project is.
Gotcha. And
this is what the rules are. And I guess, it took me a while to kind of, because I would sometimes just like, oh, it didn't work. Oh, maybe I didn't speak out, or maybe I just didn't really express myself, and now, because like I said, you learn through experience, and now it's like, because I'm very passionate of what I do in any project.
Right.
Because I want it to be, run well, and for other people to be happy too. And I think that's something in any business, to understand and take care of people.
You have to.
And know if you want longevity.
If you want longevity.
Very important. I mean, how many bands out there like today,
they just poof.
they're
They're like
gone.
a,
What happened to the lead singer? And then they get another lead singer. It's not the same, and they're
yeah.
you know, or a band mate and or a producer. Or, you know, I think you know, bring down the egos, guys. Yeah, we all have egos, but it's good when it's a creative. But then don't kind of just bully people with that ego. It's just it's nonsense.
I saw In Vogue. I've seen them a couple of times, and they're split. They're two different factions of that group now, and one of the factions, they said that, you know, because they get a lot of questions, or why are there two? Why did you guys split? Just get together. And she said, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with getting together with all the original girls and just going ahead. And she said, because we're doing a job. We don't have to hang out and
Right.
you know, be buddy buddy, but when it's time to do your job, just do your job. And I'm all about that. But other people don't have that same.
Right.
And that was my first, like, one of my first understandings of how difficult it can be to be amongst people with all these different ideas and egos and their own visions and things like that. And at the end of the day, do you want to do this or don't you?
Right, right. Are you, do you want to be a part? How long do you just see this as just like passive or just to
Yeah.
get your feet wet, or do you see, you know, I think when you get together, and that's what I'm saying. It takes a lot to meet the right people. There's right people out there. Like I'm
Good.
very blessed to have the band that I have.
Yeah.
Just because I'm the lead singer doesn't make me like I'm the one who's getting all the spotlight. I share the spotlight with everybody, with my bandmates.
Yeah.
And I like that because we're all successful. Without having that, then you're not successful. You're just kind of like, and it shows. People notice that. It's like, oh, that guy's ego is like, you know, it's all about him. And it's very easy for the audience. You can't, you know, the audience picks up on.
Oh, yes, we do. Oh,
that up.
yes, we do.
You know,
We feel that energy and we see those little, you know, things
Right,
that
it's
go
like,
on.
oh, yeah, they're,
What's
you know,
going on there?
exactly.
Probably because we're nosy.
Right,
Just
right.
nosy.
But look, I mean, look at the bands that we grew up watching. I mean, Duran's been, they've had their ups and downs, but look, they're in their best
Yeah.
prime right now. I mean, Andy Taylor's now dealing with prostate cancer.
We're
which
praying
is
for you
sad,
too.
and,
Yeah.
and you know, I hope he gets, you know, but, and then they acknowledged him too. He just couldn't go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to be there because he was sick. And that was, we were all shocked because that was the first that Andy lives out in Spain, so that was like the first that we noticed that he was sick and he couldn't attend, because we're like, why didn't Andy? Does Andy have an ego, or why does he hate Duran? And no, it was just he was sick. And that's what I'm saying. Well, you see all these other bands now. It's like you only live once, man, and you know you're successful because of the fans. The fans are the ones who make you successful, and you're part of that. I think a lot of bands just think that they're saying the gods and stuff. No, it's the fans are the ones who make you or break you.
Yeah.
And I have respect for all fans, tribute bands, cover bands, original bands. You know, it's just there's, as I'm saying, with experience, I've learned about that. So.
All right. Well, Freddie, this has been
Thank
wonderful.
you.
Thank you so much. I
Yes.
appreciate you coming out and speaking with us and talking to us. We will do this hopefully again if you're not busy.
No, I'll always be here for you.
Oh,
you know,
good.
My door is always open.
Good. You and Sophia, right?
Yes, and I thank you so much for everybody who's watching this. Thank you so much. Go support Depeche Mode and all these other bands out there, because you never know. You know, things happen. The world's changed, and life is a gift. So enjoy life to the fullest. Be kind, love each other, and it's just all love.
All right.
Right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys, wasn't that amazing? I am so grateful that Freddie came out to talk to us about Devotional, to talk to us about his journey through being in tribute bands. You let me know what you think. You can reach me on IG at Melanin Monarchy. I am also on Facebook. Please, you guys, follow Freddie Morales, follow Devotional, the Depeche Mode Experience. If he's in your town, please go see him. They are amazing. You will not regret it. I'm looking forward to doing more of these types of videos about Depeche Mode. So definitely let me know what you want and what you're thinking.